What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 270. The one we are going to cover candy corn in all of its forms for 2 hours straight today. I think that's what we're going to do today, right?
What a program.
Face. What's going on, everyone? It's another great week in gaming. I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, and all four of us are here. We're awake. Travis is alive. It's a good Sunday. It's a good Sunday.
You know what's funny about Travis's face when you said candy corn is that's the face he gave when he was on my show where my brain surgeon was talking about draining blood from the skull.
I remember
roughly the same look.
In him both. Yeah. I can't take those conversations.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm being opened up when people talk about stuff like that.
Yeah, I get all like tingly, like
squeamish.
Feels weird. Yeah. But anyway, what's going on, everyone? Good to see you early this morning, at least where we are. Chat. Travis, how we doing this morning, man? You awake? You alive? Things going well?
Yeah, just living that street life. You know how I do. What's up, fam? How we doing? I'm doing, kids.
Street life.
You are very. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing, man. You're playing video games. What do you want from me?
Mr. Rodriguez coming in rocking the Faro shirt. Good morning.
Yeah, automated systems, baby. Yeah. I apologize if I cough a little bit. I either have bronchitis or like pulmonary hypertension, according to Google. So, let's just.
That second one you'd want to have checked out.
Yeah, I got another doctor's appointment. I just went to urgent care on Friday. I was like, you guys got to hurry up. I gotta go.
He's like, I got Spider-Man to play, man. Come on.
I got shit to do. Let's go. But right now I'm all right. So.
All right. We'll check in with you periodically throughout the show if we see you keel over.
Fall over. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably a good sign to, call somebody. That should be okay. So.
Hogue, rocking the new background today, my friend. How we doing?
I am. We rotated the office around a little bit, so this is my new background. Hopefully it's not too much change for everybody all at once. I know that can be a little bit distracting. But I've got my video game arcade machines over my shoulder there. I've got some board games. I got a good reflection of how my house actually looks in this space, much to my wife's chagrin. So, yeah, happy with a little bit different background here. I've got Gaming Dino still up there. Got
of course.
Michigan Wolverines doing all right behind me.
Yeah.
And it's a fun week. It's a big week, right? So we've got lots of good things to talk about this week, including, I'm sure, a long section on Diablo 4 Season 2.
Yes. Well, funny enough, we do have a lot to talk about game-wise, which is great. That's what we're here to talk about. News-wise, there wasn't a whole lot. So we're going to talk an awful lot this week about games, which is crazy on a gaming podcast, but we'll give it a shot.
I think we'll
do our best. Yeah, we'll try. First, though, we got to talk about candy corn. I mean, we said we were going to do the episode. So, Travis, get yourself a bag, my friend.
I don't think
I think it was Rob that found in San Francisco. Plenty of stores sell it. It's there. Go get it.
Travis is convinced Brock's doesn't exist in San Francisco.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I know. Somebody was agreeing with me online. They were like, "Dude, I'm with you, Travis. I've never seen that brand." So it might just be one of those things. How dare you, sir? I leave my house plenty. I just don't leave the city.
They don't have everything at Trader Joe's. It's just Trader Joe's.
I was gonna say they don't have a Family Dollar in San Francisco. I don't know.
No, they probably do not have a Family Dollar.
So.
It's like a family.
It's a family 20.
Yeah, it's a family 10. Yeah, something ridiculous.
So. I think there's a Family Dollar in Daly City, but yeah, it's not. That's not a city store for sure.
No.
Oh man. Well, whoever wants candy corn, it's out there. Enjoy it. It's delicious. Get yourself a bag. Get your family a bag.
I mean, you bought it like 2 days ago and you haven't even opened it yet. So
I didn't want it falling all over the desk while I was displaying,
Yeah,
plus it is loaded with nothing but sugar and corn syrup, and I'm not going to eat all that. So,
you're really advertising how good it is, loaded with sugar and corn syrup. That's exactly.
I really don't like it.
That's what I want.
It's sugar, corn syrup, artificial flavors, and a whole bunch of chemical colors. It's America in a bag. I mean, this is what we do.
In like 3
that's
months,
certainly
you're
a
not going to be able
version
to
of
get that in
America.
California.
I don't know.
If you just scoop candy corn, they don't exist. It's good.
Terrible. Gross.
Yeah, there's no way I'm eating that, by the way. I'll have a couple bites and then I'll be like, yeah, I'm good. I can't eat that. I'll die.
I'm sending footage of my Walgreens aisle. There's a Walgreens across the street from my house. I'm gonna send.
They absolutely have that.
Store. If they don't, what are gentlemen's bargain?
Well, I just won't believe you because
yeah, I mean,
how many video footage, bro?
Oh man. But anyway, we got a couple early super chats. In fact, someone raced Googleman this morning. They put him in his place, which is a bold move, but random name is that person.
Random name. I just wanted to be Googleman with the $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much. You did it.
You did it. Crushed him.
You absolutely did it.
Step your damn game up.
This is a really important message. Is like, don't get cocky. If you want to continue to be number one, you have to wake up every day and earn it.
For real. Yeah,
this
you're
is the voicemail IGN leaves for Travis every morning.
That's right. That's right. Every day they're like, you're fired until proven otherwise. And then they make me earn my job back by the end of the day. It's good. It's a good system.
By reviewing poor games. Yeah, Googleman, I mean, you can't just assume that 10 minutes prior to show is going to be good enough anymore. The race is on at this point. So
that's right.
Random name. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Googleman is here, of course. Go ahead.
Tim or Time's suggestion. If I show that there's no candy corn in my Walgreens, does that mean Ames has to eat his entire candy corn bag on stream in a Dan Rodriguez manner?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it would.
I'm not sure I know how Dan eats candy corn, but I'm not sure I want that particular knowledge.
I mean, no, my point was that he has to eat it on stream as Dan would.
Oh, okay. Well,
eat an entire bag of something. Yeah.
So just to be clear, if you don't know me, I'm very picky about what I eat and ingredients and stuff. And this is 110 calories and 22 grams of sugar, and there are 19 servings in this bag.
Yeah.
It might kill you if you eat that.
Hey, my body would shut down if I tried to eat this bag.
Why don't you put your diabetes where your mouth is on this one, Ames, if you don't believe me?
That's right, bud.
It's not happening. Googleman is here, of course.
Googleman with the €5. I'm sorry. Finally got around to playing Dark Tide. Fantastic gameplay loop, but the amount of energy required to not run around in prison garb is ridiculous. I know nothing about that.
I installed Dark Tide like a couple weeks ago because I've been wanting to play it and I haven't touched it. There's just way too many,
40K ones
to play. Yes.
Yep. Gotcha.
Supposed to come out last year, launched on PC only, had a bunch of like tuning issues and stuff. So they spent time fixing it up. It released on Xbox and Game Pass like 3 weeks ago. So, yep, it's out there if you want to play it, but supposedly pretty good now. I just haven't had time. Googleman, thank you. We will see you earlier next week. Shout out to Rain Man YYC with gifting 5 memberships over on the Hogue Law channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rain Man.
Appreciate you. Luke is in the house from Xbox Expansion Pass, Team Candy Corn.
That should tell you enough.
There you go. That's literally all you need to know.
Yeah,
that
right there.
Damning.
You got Luke over here.
The fact that Luke is on your side,
it. You can't even argue that now. Now you've lost. You don't even put up a poll. It's worthless.
Yeah,
worthless.
That's it.
We already won the poll. That was a done deal.
True.
We won that a couple weeks ago.
You did win the poll, which was surprising, and that it proves the median age of our viewer on the show is upsettingly low.
Luke, thank you, and shout out to Xbox Expansion Pass. They celebrated their 200th episode here yesterday, actually. So go check that out if you haven't. Luke and Logan doing great stuff as always over there. Thank you, brother.
Good job, Luke.
And Shush in the house.
Shush with €5. Good thing that SG is not monetized. I would hate to spend my super chat money towards lobbying for Brox and Candy Corn.
We do need a better Brox and Candy Corn lobby. I'm going to speak to
he wrote
after
Box,
the show.
So maybe
there's
Box.
The
brand. Yeah,
I mean, classical music aside.
Yeah,
it's because when you eat candy corn, you hear classical music playing. It's that type of experience.
I'm really glad we got some classical music knowledge in this cast. That's important to me personally.
My dad was a classical pianist, right? Like seriously, like yeah.
I did not know that about your dad.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would know that, but it's good to know. I love it. You're like, my dad was a capital P. I'm like,
I thought we would have talked about that at some point.
I wasn't expecting. Do you know who my father is on this Bitcast show?
No. Do you know who my father is? Damn it.
Classical pianist is not the speeding ticket get out of jail card you think it is.
I think
no. But I could anyway. Go ahead.
Men, it matters what your dad did. What did all of your fathers do? That's something I don't know.
Mine was a classical pianist. In case you haven't heard.
Good times. Yeah, I mean that's like very surprising given who you are. You know what I mean? Like. That would be the answer you'd hope from like me, or like my father was a classical pianist. But yeah, it's very different. There you go.
No, I grew up playing like multiple hours per day. Yeah,
that's very surprising. That's crazy.
Lawyer.
Yeah, you know what, Hogue?
We knew that.
You know what?
I mean,
not all of us are so folksy that we do what our daddy did. Okay, that's just. So Midwest. I just
hey, don't bring the Midwest into this.
Isn't it Midwest though to do what your father did?
I just said bring the Midwest.
Was there pressure to be a lawyer, Hogue?
No, not at all.
Pressure at all.
I think most lawyers would tell their kids think real hard about that, and I think my dad did that.
Nice. Okay, Rodriguez, what'd your dad do?
He was a plant manager for a company that manufactured train wheels and axles.
Oh, that's even more Midwest.
He used to tell me, like, I'll be like, are those, the wheels that your company makes, Dad? We see a train go by. He said, yeah. I'm like, how can you tell? He's like, they're round. So that was always his running joke. He's like, all right. Yeah.
They're round, we made them. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, cool.
Like how you said, making train wheels and train parts is Midwest. It's America, man.
It's like ultra blue collar. I mean, that's not. I wouldn't know anybody who'd be like, "Oh yeah, my dad makes train wheels." I don't think that wouldn't be
my client base. I have a lot of manufacturing and making of vehicle parts and whatnot in Michigan, as you might expect.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, that's like an answer I would expect from your guys as part of the country, but not from like, I don't know anybody I have one friend who has a blue collar job. He works in plastics, and that's like a topic of conversation at parties. It's like, oh shit, you actually like make something. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, oh, that's kind of cool. What a fun little treat. So,
Shush, thank you. Oh, go ahead, Travis.
My father is a carpenter. Yeah, he's a contractor. So I did carpentry growing up. Yeah. My father, Jesus Christ. Yep, that's him. Perfect. Washboard abs. You know how we do. Just chilling.
Oh, man. All right. Shush, thank you. I don't know how we got onto that, but by classical pianist comment, I guess.
It's a cool.
Yeah.
I love by the way, I love the opposites. Like Ames had a like ultra kind of a pretentious profession in his father, and then came out the way you did, and then my dad was like salt of the earth, man's man, and then he got this flimsy ass son. I just love the kind of inverse there. That's really cool.
Oh man. Butterball in the house again.
All right. Cheese, not butter.
That's in reference to us deciding what.
That's what I said yesterday.
Last week.
Last week I said it was Kerrygold, didn't I? Yeah,
you did.
It looks like Kerrygold.
What happened?
Yeah.
And I yield to your cheese.
Oh yeah, Travis wasn't here. Basically, Butterball gave us super chat. Dan thought that was butter in the picture, and I said it looks like cheese, and that became a discussion point.
But I mean,
I think I was the one
going based on butter.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both. They're both dairy. Isn't it the same thing?
Yeah.
Are butter and cheese the same thing?
You tell me.
Put them both on bread. It doesn't matter. Cover my steaks.
Butterball, thank you. Alex in the house.
Alex with the $5 super. Shout out to Travis and Hogue being on my podcast. Love hearing Hogue's love for Final Fantasy VI and Travis's love for Peaky Blinders. What is
Travis? Yeah, Alex brought that up, by the way. If you don't know Alex, by the way, he's one of our contributors at Season Gaming. Great dude. And he mentioned that Travis has a problem with Peaky Blinders, and that was just like another notch on the belt of Travis just having terrible opinions.
I don't
What's
know,
wrong
man.
with Peaky Blinders?
I tried, and I feel like that show should have interest to me because it's got great actors and good writing, but like it's
Did
just
you make it to Tom Hardy?
Just
Because
boring.
that was
Yeah. I made it
problem
deep in.
about
I made it like 4 or
Yeah.
5 seasons, and like the entire time I was like, why am I watching this show? It's like one of those shows where like nothing happens for like 6-7 episodes, and they pack all the
Travis on this.
It just really is drawn out in the worst kind of way, and it's, you know, it'll be like 7 episodes, and I'll be like, what am I actually watching? And it'll be like I'm watching dudes walking in slow motion down streets and through factories while music that's inappropriate for the era plays, and that's
literally a trailer. That's not
that's the entire show, dude. It's just
it kind of is the show.
slow mo with like
not.
some crazy music playing, and I'm just like, I want to like that show, but it's boring. It's boring, unfortunately.
The lack of culture showing through again.
Hey, Hoag's with me on this. I don't know.
Hey, I'm gonna back Travis.
Yeah, but Hoag's radicalized. I mean, again, think about who you're partnering with opinion-wise here.
Look, it's fair, and I'm a big tent party here on this. I'm trying to accept all my imperfect allies, but you know.
But Hoag loves Final Fantasy VI, so that's, I mean, you know, that always saves them in the end.
That's a good game.
Always saves.
Yeah, and Alex and I had fun talking about Final Fantasy in general as a series. So
yeah,
go check out his podcast because we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely check out Alex on Twitter as well, and he's done a lot of reviews for us this year. So shout out, Alex. Thanks, man.
Roasts for Hoag.
He did
on that show.
Travis left him with jokes, all of which were related to my apparel.
Yeah, I don't feel like they were delivered in the manner. They weren't mean enough. I felt like I would have made sure that you knew that I was trying to hurt you, you know, a little bit more if I delivered them. I feel like delivery is, you know, half the joke. So
delivery is key, no doubt.
He was just too nice, and I was like, that's my feedback is you need to really.
I told you back in February, one of the very first things I watched in media from my hospital bed was you making jokes about my condition, and I loved it. So all right with
Sorry
me.
about that, by the way. Still
it's quite funny. And of course, before we just get into the gaming conversation, we got to shout out Against the Tide with a new AI themed pictures this week with Spider-Man, and this one is definitely special.
I did not see these yet.
So the funniest thing, Hoag looks like he's at like a Comic-Con, just standing in front of like some type of contraption to cosplay.
Hoag, I like believe it. Like that's a great casting choice right there. You can tell he's been working out a little bit. Like the AI did some work here. You know, he put in his time. He's trying to get fit for the part, and I totally buy it. I mean, good work. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Travis being, you know, is that supposed to be kind of like Green Goblin or?
Yeah, that's got. No, I would crush that role. I think I was made to be Green Gobbo for sure. No, I could for sure play that role. I think that's also great casting. And Ains, honestly, I could see you as Sandman as well.
Sandman, yeah. Really, although I don't know why I have sand in my eyes as
I don't know why
taken.
You look like you got hit with sand and you're currently recovering from it. But really, the only terrible casting choice here is old man Spider-Man. Like that is absurd. I don't understand. I don't
is Spider-Man doing his taxes? He's just sitting
like,
there.
What am I doing? Like my monthly bills? What is
this? Is like you know, Spider-Man fights the fentanyl crisis. I'm very, very concerned for this.
Oh man, the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I that casting choice. I was like, they really had it going until they decided to cast Spider-Man as who's the you know, the guy who plays Ermintrout in Breaking Bad. They just put him as Spider-Man. I don't know. I wouldn't have done that.
It's too funny. Elu said Ains looks like he wants to hand me a pamphlet in the airport.
Yeah. You look like they're still putting the makeup on you. They're like, stay still.
Yes.
We're almost done.
Exactly.
We're putting the final details on the sand.
Thank you as always, Todd. Appreciate you. I also need to share that she or they, excuse me, sent me the some of the outtakes, obviously, from the AI, and this one just stood out to me. I want to make a bobblehead of this, Travis.
Oh my god. Are they all me? Why did I get 4 Travises? That's horrible.
I don't know, but you need green hair like now.
Yeah.
Against the Tide has to do some work to come up with those photos.
Yeah, he really does.
And has cuts.
That's crazy. Also, I love that I'm jacked in some of these. That's cool.
You look like a Burger King toy.
No doubt. No doubt.
I mean, look, remove the photo.
Sorry, Tide.
Remove the photo.
Yes.
I still look like a Burger King toy.
To be clear, not a McDonald's toy, specifically a Burger King toy.
Burger King toy, yeah, because they're lower quality, right? Yeah. You know what the greatest Burger King toy was? For $12.
Lord of the Rings.
Close. For $12, you could get 3 video games.
Video games. Sneak King.
Sneak King, goated. Big Bumpin', actually a good game. Good games, guys. Did any of you guys play that? You guys must have played those games.
I played one of them. I don't remember which one.
Really?
I played Sneak King.
Yeah.
Sneak King was very funny, but not a very good game. Frustrating. Big Bumpin', legit good game. Some people play that like unironically. Well, probably a little ironically, but they like actually play that game.
You said it's called Big Bumpin'?
Yeah, it's a bumper cars, like knock people out of the ring type of like mini game that you might see in like a party game format. And then the final one was Pocket Bike Racing, which was a kart racing where you played as Burger King characters and menu items, which was insane. And that one was also less good. Like Sneak King was a hilarious idea. Big Bumpin' was somehow actually pretty fun at parties. Like you pull that thing out, people will be screaming about like trying to bump people out. And then Pocket Bike Racing
for Travis. Thank you.
What are we clipping?
I'm asking for the clip of when you pull that thing out, people go screaming.
Yeah. There you go.
No Clip did one of their recent documentaries on the Burger King game, so check that out if you haven't.
I tried to get every achievement in all 3 of those games, and I think I came into some like weird that you have to get people online to play it, and I couldn't do it. But yeah, there was a time
I wish I had them. They're worth a little money now. Like people.
Oh, I got all 3 of them. I didn't even know they were worth money. Yeah.
And see, for people who don't know or weren't around at the time, like before Fellowship of the Ring and the Lord of the Rings was Oscar bait and all those kinds of things, they had a marketing deal with Burger King, and they had little like almost Pez dispenser versions of the Lord of the Rings characters, and they had light up goblets that said things like Strider and whatnot. And so you could go and buy these, and then that marketing deal ended pretty quick after New Line, I think, realized that they were in a different ballpark than they thought they were with that movie.
That's interesting.
Damn. I bet those are collectible too. All right. We got a couple more super chats while we're talking. Let's go ahead and knock these out before we get into the Sard question.
Rain Man with the $5 Canadian Hogue, and I probably have some of the same clients. I used to travel all over Michigan and Ohio repairing robotic systems for factories.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
We probably do.
Probably do.
That's awesome, Rain Man.
The same clients, they would have 2 lawyers.
No, I don't repair robotic systems. So companies need many vendors to do the things they need. So I was not reading this as Rain Man is a lawyer.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense now that I'm actually reading it.
I was gonna say I don't know how you got that, but yes.
Yeah. I wasn't paying
Rain Man, thank you very much. Random name with another super chat.
With the $4.99 super check, I got Spidey 2. I have not started it. I ended up getting addicted to Midnight Suns again. Totally understandable. Hoping for an expansion. 6 bedrooms still free in the Abbey.
Also, I love the way you spelled Midnight Suns, implying that there were boy children born at midnight. That's a good midnight.
My kids were born at midnight. I actually this is a crazy thing. I have twin boys. One was born on the 13th. One was born on the 14th of November. Crazy, right? Different birthdays. Nice. Yeah.
A couple minutes apart.
It's awesome because now they want separate birthday parties all the time. Growing up, that's all it was. This is bullshit.
It's awesome.
No, it's not. It costs too much money.
It gives them some identity. It's nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Whatever. Identity. Random name, thank you. And shout out to Midnight Drew for gifting a season gaming membership. Thank you as always, Drew. Appreciate you. Okay. So a couple weeks ago, Sard, if I can get this off the screen, Sard asked us a question that we said we would come back to later in that episode. I thought it was a really good question, and we forgot because we got tied up in another conversation. So I wanted to revisit it because I do have an answer to it now. I don't know if you guys had a chance to think about it, but Sardanisms asked us, with all the games released this year, what game would be in your game of the year running if it had one change to it? So a game you thought has been amazing or great or wonderful, what have you, but it needed to change one thing for you to really, really love it and put it at the top of the list. So I have an answer. I can go if you want me to get us started, or if anyone else is ready to jump.
Like our personal game of the year, or like our list?
Personal.
Okay.
There's no other game of the year.
No, you know what I mean. Like we made the list. Dum dum baby.
I do know what you mean, Dan. Don't let Travis get you.
I know. I'm not.
They're all personal.
Come on now.
All right, I'm going. So mine is Starfield. And the change that I think would have made that game a lot better for me is if instead of and I'm not alone in this, I don't think, but 1,000 planets, 1,400 planets, whatever it has, if it had 3 to 5 to 1 solar system worth of planets that were fully fleshed out independently. So if there were a handful of planets that were like Skyrim-like worlds that you could walk across fully, like a full open world game, but a handful of them that were featured quest lines and characters and all kinds of things to discover and find. I think that would have been a better game for me personally. And I think that would have elevated it to a level that I would have been playing still for a very long time. Whereas now, for me, again, I think the experience feels a little disjointed at times. And I don't get that same explorative feeling playing it that I do with some of Bethesda's other games.
That is a very good answer, and also makes me reconsider what counts as one change.
That's a big change. Yeah, that's a big change.
Big ass change.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll go next.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm almost tempted to say Baldur's Gate 3 not change it to not be D&D, but I think even with D&D, it's probably still my game of the year. So I'll go a different direction with it. Hogwarts Legacy, if it had significantly more enemy variety, that's like the one thing that really holds back that game is like you fight spiders for like a lot of the game. And I feel like if they would have fleshed out more enemy types, I think that game would have been probably significantly more, have more staying power.
It's crazy that game came out this year. You know what I mean? Like it feels like 50 amazing games ago that Hogwarts Legacy came out, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it would have came out maybe like in September or October, maybe I don't know. I mean, maybe more people are talking about it.
It's still the best-selling game this year
by a lot.
Awesome. Until next week.
It's also the highest viewed review of the year at IGN by a lot, by like a significant amount, and I think that won't change at all because
I love that game.
It's got like it's got an audience that's bigger than people who care about games, like even people who aren't gamers, like
of course
cared about Hogwarts Legacy. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, okay, mine's super simple and kind of dumb, but if Tears of the Kingdom were on Xbox or PlayStation, I probably would have played it way more, and it probably would have enjoyed it way more. I just can't be bothered to go dig out my Switch. It's mostly laziness. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I played like 2 hours on my Switch, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. I'll wait for the Switch 2 or whatever the hell they're going to do. But, I think it would have been, elevated. As of right now, it's probably not up there. There's too many games. But that's just me. So,
and that's a big game, too. That's not one you can like knock out in a weekend. So
no.
It's funny. I was going to say Tears as well. I wouldn't take it away from Nintendo like Dan, but I would remove the physics-based dungeons. I don't think that they are interesting enough, and I don't think the physics is tight enough. I don't think physics in games has ever been tight enough. It's not a Tears of the Kingdom unique thing. But when I have to sit there and play pinball for 40 minutes because it's just kind of random what's going to happen when I use your physics engine, I don't have as much fun as I could.
I see what you're saying.
That's I love
it. I kind of like the physics is a little unpredictable because it means you have to trial and error and tweak, and it kind of feels like you're a mad scientist a little bit. But yeah, I get that criticism. I've seen other people say that too.
Yeah, I'm along that same camp. I'm not really a puzzle game lover. That's probably one of the few genres I don't really love. And And it feels like when I have a big open adventure game like that I want to get lost in, I get a little annoyed when I'm forced to do, that kind of stuff. It's like I got to fiddle around with this for 10 minutes to get across a lake. It's like, I don't really care. It bores me. But that's just
I love that.
Yeah.
I love puzzle games. Do you play like The Witness or?
Yeah, remember we talked about The Witness. I hated The Witness.
You hated it.
I finished it. I got almost every achievement, but I didn't like it. I don't even know why I finished it, to be honest with you. I might have been reviewing it. I don't remember.
I did really like Witness. Is Talos 2 still this year?
Yes, Talos 2 is this year. I was actually supposed to maybe review that one. So, do you like Talos Principle, Haynes?
I have not played it.
Oh, goated game. Great game.
Yeah, I've heard good things, and I saw that 2 was coming. Yeah, 2's like really, really soon, isn't it? Or is it out?
It is. No, it's soon. I think it's November. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry, thank you for the question. Sorry that we kind of forgot about it. But let's go ahead and move on. So 2 big releases this week, guys. I guess we'll just go ahead and jump into those. And we've obviously got a bunch to talk about with new seasons and other games we're playing as well. So where do you guys want to start here? Should we start with, why don't we go ahead and start with Hogue apparently just hating PlayStation?
Oh my God.
We need an intervention.
Defend yourself.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the show. We're an open show. We like all platforms here, and we've had internal conversations about kicking Hogue off for his hate of PlayStation.
It's mostly his love of Xbox.
They don't know you're being facetious.
So if you kind of missed this, Hogue had a slightly critical viewpoint of Spider-Man 2, and apparently all hell broke loose, and now he hates PlayStation, even though I think he plays on PlayStation more than anything else.
I do. As it turns out, a guy that loves JRPGs and Final Fantasy mostly plays on PlayStation.
So I think I'm the only one. I don't know about you, Travis. I think I'm the only one on the panel not playing Spider-Man 2. So I'm going to go quiet here.
Correct.
Okay. So Hogue, go ahead and defend yourself, whatever, make up some bullshit. You know what I mean? So.
All right. So I want to set the stage here first and foremost, because I really love Spider-Man 2018. It was when it came out that year, I had rated it the 3rd favorite game for me that year. As it turns out,
what was above it? 2 Xbox games?
I'd have to look. I'd have to look at what was above it.
Yeah.
I don't remember what 2018 actually had in it that well. So I know it was number 3.
God of War.
You love that game.
God of War was number 8.
Red Dead 2, I know you're not a huge fan of.
Red Dead 2 was 10.
Mm-hmm. It's a bunch.
Crazy.
I can't remember.
Did you say 10? Like 10?
No, he didn't like Red Dead 2. You know this.
No, wait a minute.
Red Dead 2 is a 10, but it's not on a list.
Oh, man.
Anyway, carry on, sir.
I want to say it's probably Assassin's Creed Odyssey that year.
That could have been.
I don't remember which years they released.
I think that's right.
Oh, Alex has them. Star Control 2 Origins. Well, no, it was Star Control Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
Anyway, carry on.
But I really returned to Spider-Man a lot. I've played 2018 and the remaster a number of times. I really love Miles Morales, and so I was pumped about Spider-Man 2. And when I played Spider-Man 2 on Friday, it didn't grab me, and I was surprised by that. And we can talk about why in a minute, but I found myself playing Spider-Man 2 essentially out of obligation, which I always hate to do when I'm playing video games. And so it wound up being a slower play than I thought it would be this weekend. So I'm about 8 or 10 hours in, and I don't love Spider-Man 2. I wish I did.
All right.
That's what I got as commentary, Ains.
Sorry. I muted because I was responding to a comment in chat, figuring you were going to talk for longer than that, and you caught me off guard.
Sorry, Hogue. I can usually depend on you for 40 minutes.
No, like I said in our DMs, I mean, you're not going to get a lot of pushback from our chat. I don't think there's a ton of like big fanboys in there, so you don't have to worry about them in here. Just Twitter.
No, you don't have to worry about it in here.
No.
So Dan, we'll jump to you, and Hogue can kind of comment with his thoughts too, because Dan, if you're not aware and haven't watched this show ever, Dan is a diehard Spider-Man fan, adores the character and the history and the games and everything to go along with it. So I know this was your most anticipated game of the year, I believe, Dan.
Yeah, for sure it was. So at issue here, and what Hogue was talking about was that I think IGN had an article that basically talked up how Sony or how Spider-Man's 2 story went, and then it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of the way Sony first party games are going, where they have a lot of fluff to be, they have a lot of cutscenes, it's a lot of cinematics, it's a lot of that stuff, and we talked about there's a cutscene, not really a cutscene, it's a scene where you're picking up trash. You have to clean up your house, in Spider-Man 2. Not, I don't think that's a big spoiler, but and yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
You're grounded.
Right.
Oh, it's a spoiler. It's just not going to spoil anything for you knowing about it.
No. Yeah, you have to pick up some what is it, like a Chinese container or something of Chinese food and stuff. So I mean, it's there's stuff like that. I and we kind of talked about it in our DMs, and I kind of understand. I get it, because that kind of stuff, it really kind of screws the pacing up with some of these bigger games. And for me, it's less of an issue, but I can't, I'm also the wrong person to give a kind of objective opinion on Spider-Man, because I love it so much. So,
I think you just enjoy, like, regardless, you're in that universe, the content is,
For me, yeah, and for me, it's a lot more than just that. There's so much more to that game that they've improved on it. I know people are talking about bugs a lot. I haven't seen any, or not.
Yeah, no, that's console war stuff.
Yeah,
there aren't a lot of bugs in Spider-Man.
I haven't seen anything. I mean, I've seen. I take that back. There was a couple times where I think I did like a photo, like I took a photo and it didn't register, so I just restarted the checkpoint and then took that. That was the biggest bug I've had so far, and it's happened twice.
I've had one mission where like an enemy gets stuck in a wall and then you can't finish the combat encounter, but I consider that all kind of normal course stuff.
Right. Yeah. For a game that just released.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think it's an issue. But where I really have a problem is, and we've talked about this in this space before, is storytelling, right? And folks wrongly think on Twitter or social media or elsewise that I don't like narrative, which is a strange accusation for me. No. I love storytelling. I love narrative. I love what games can do with storytelling and narrative. But if you're going to be a narrative-first game or a narrative-first company, you're going to get critiqued on exactly what you're doing with that storytelling. And so Spider-Man 2 starts out, as you'd expect, with a kind of tutorial mission where you are taught the buttons again and whatnot. But it's, again, not a spoiler because it's not pertinent to the storyline, but it's a giant fight against Sandman. And there's a number of things that are happening in it that just aren't very interesting. You're swinging around him in a circle. You fight little Sandman from time to time, and you have no reason to care about this person other than the fact that he's a Spider-Man character. And one of the issues I have with the game design is that they got rid of a few things that I really liked from Spider-Man 2018 that I had no reason to believe would be gone. And one of those things is like the biographies of the characters, which ordinarily wouldn't matter that much, especially for an IP like Spider-Man. But we're in a world in which Spider-Man exists in the MCU, exists in the Spider-Verse, exists in the cartoons and the comics, and exists in this universe in some way from 5 years ago. And so you have all these relationships and reactions to character names you recognize from other things, but you have to constantly remind yourself of who knows what and when. And Spider-Man 2018 actually started after Spider-Man had been a hero for a while, and so kind of incorporates this notion that he's fought people before, but you don't exactly know who he's fought, and you don't know what you're forgetting from playing the games years ago. And it's a really kind of convoluted thing, all because they don't have a bio screen anymore. And they also lose some of the universe stuff that I really liked, which they had a fake Twitter in Spider-Man 2018. And
is it called X?
No.
No, I don't think they called it anything. What was Twitter called in Spider-Man?
I can't remember. I know, because I never ever looked at it. Not one time. I saw it pop up every once in a while. I was like, yeah, I don't need to read some computer.
Yeah, so I love that it added to the universe, and Spider-Man had his own Twitter account, and And I would go through and I would keep up with that because it would advance what you were doing in the world through that Twitter account. And that's just gone. And so all of that kind of plays on top of this notion of constantly feeling like you don't quite know what's going on and you can't remember what you've forgotten. Perhaps aided by the fact that if you're a player who recently had a brain hemorrhage, you're already a little bit worried about forgetting things that might be important to what you're doing. But hey, that's a unique experience. I'm not applying that to everyone.
Interesting.
So you're saying that, like, is it just the stuff from 2018 that you're struggling to connect in this game with? Or...
No, that's just one of the things, right? I think that the Sandman fight is badly done. Like, for instance, in 2018, I really enjoyed going after Kingpin, and I've done that mission a number of times, and I think it layered in what the game is trying to do much better than the Sandman fight. And Sandman, I didn't like what they did with it. I didn't think it was interesting. And it's very, very brown to start out the game. And the real advantage to that, what they're doing in Manhattan with the Sandman fight, is like everything gets sandy and ruined, but it's the very first thing you do in the game. So you don't even get that kind of transformative effect that you would get with it not sitting there. And again, it's a mission where essentially Peter Parker says, oh, it's Marco and all these things that you can kind of think of as relating to him, and he knows something about it, but you realize after the fight that he really doesn't know much about anything that's going on with him, and that's a mystery to be solved. So there's all these things that are essentially what I call the Sony PlayStation spectacle problem, and I apply this to Final Fantasy 16 as well, which is not by them, but is also very related to them, and Sony contributed resources to making Final Fantasy 16. And that's that you get all this credit for things like fighting an icon like Titan in Final Fantasy 16 or fighting somebody giant in God of War. And mostly those things result in mechanical disinterest, right? The Sandman fight is not fun to play. It's fun to kind of see how big it can be to some extent, but it's not particularly interesting to play. And I thought the 2018 Kingpin fight and the Miles Morales Rhino fight were much better introductions to those universes.
Uh-huh.
So that's the start of the game. And then as the game continues from there, you realize that unlike those earlier Spider-Man games, and really unlike anything Insomniac has ever done, in my opinion, you're kind of getting the bleed over effect of fart smelling, essentially, from the Sony studios, where you've got these long missions where you're not doing anything related to the core elements of the game because they're so deeply interested in telling you a character story, which I would ordinarily like, but they're not actually saying much of anything of interest. There's no propulsive, compelling event to start your dramatic momentum. And you get exposition scenes where you're cleaning up the house and learning about Aunt May and things, but it's not terribly useful for hours and hours and hours. And I say that on the assumption that it's going to come together at some point during the course of this game. Like I said, I'm 8 or 10 hours in, but I'm giving them credit for that because they delivered such nice stories with Miles Morales, especially. And I'm hoping for that to come around here. But for the most part, in Spider-Man, I'm cleaning up the house. I'm helping a kid get a homecoming date. I'm doing these various things that are all, ugh. You know, and if I'm going to listen to critiques of side quests in Starfield or Final Fantasy 16 that I think are legitimate, I think it should be applied equally to Spider-Man, essentially not Spider-Manning very often for long periods of time.
Yeah, I think I played something different. So, like I understand what you're saying, and I know like some of those missions you're talking about, and I think that's that's
just
fine.
Went on a long scale date to Coney Island. It's like, okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Did you finish it?
Yes, I'm
okay.
in a fighting.
All right, so yeah, all right, so that's kind of an important. Now the rest of it. I think that's just personal preference, basically. I think I'm with you on some of it though. Like that, the date thing was a little bit much, and there was a couple other parts where I was just like, I don't need to be doing this right now. Like this could have been maybe a minute and 30 cutscene.
Yes, a short conversation. Flashbacks, right? This reminds me of like Uncharted 4. Right. The stuff I really don't like to do is the stuff that's okay. These are things the characters know already. And what did we really learn there? What did we really do there?
Yeah. I think some of that stuff could have been cut out. if they did do that and you just played through the main game, I think you'd be done in about 15 hours. So it's almost like they're artificially extending the game length, which is stupid because there's so much other stuff to do. I've got about 20 hours in it right now, and I'm about 57% done according to my PlayStation. I've done a lot of the side quests, and the 57% is just through the main story is all it registers. I've done a lot of the side stuff. I've collected, excuse me, and done a lot of like everything. Like there, you can collect crystals for something, and I've gotten all those. There's little spider bots you can go collect. I've gotten all those. So but that's just kind of how I play. Like I'll get to a point where I'm just like, okay, I need to get this, I want to do all this stuff before I move that main story forward. You know, I want to try to get as much of the story. And this is, again, coming from somebody who is a huge Spider-Man fan. And I'm not going to get defensive about it either. It's just people are different.
I don't demand anybody agree with me on these
No,
things.
no. I mean, I agree with you on some of those things. I mean, because it's true. I mean, they didn't have, like with God of War, when we talked about it here, there was just a lot of stuff.
Ragnarok or 2018?
Ragnarok.
Okay.
You know, it was just like, gosh, man, you know, some of this stuff is just so long. Like, and there was no skipping it or, you know, no interaction.
And it didn't need it.
Yeah,
it didn't
right.
need it.
Right. And it was just like, man, this is getting a bit much. But everything else about the game, and that's probably my biggest sore point with it too, Hogue, is what you're having issues with, has been improved in my opinion. I know you said you didn't like
in the DM you like the combat better. I mean,
like it better.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I like it better because there's more to it. It's not just
it is more complicated.
It's definitely more complicated, but it's more, you know, you've got, and there's times where it kind of screws me up still, but it's not just press one button, press these two buttons to do a finisher, which is all Spider-Man was. And you could see it start to happen with Miles, where you started adding like the Venom powers and stuff. And this one kind of takes it to that next level where you've got not only that, but you've also got when I say Venom powers, I mean the Venom electricity.
I know what you
powers.
mean.
Okay,
I know
so everybody else knows. Yeah. And then but now you've got it with like Peter. They've taken down the number of gadgets. There's not quite as many. There's only like 5 now, I think. And so that's kind of nice because I never used half of them anyway. And now I use them all the time.
They took down the number of gadgets. They disconnected the concept of ultimates from the suits. They moved skills into their own kind of button tree. So you've got hold downs on both bumpers to get you to different things. And I think that the thing that I find the most distracting and the least well executed is that they've got a parry concept in Spider-Man now.
Oh God! Hold on, I almost choked on my Dr. Pepper. Yes, that one I will give you. That parry thing is crap because I never use it. Yeah,
and that's actually the thing that I was thinking of the most. Right. So in the first game, heavies you kind of had to deal with in various different ways, and none of them were very good because you're an acrobatic Spider-Man. And now what they've introduced is that heavies and special enemies will hit you with an attack that is marked in a specific way, and the really only way to deal with it is to parry on time like a Dark Souls game, which is fine. But one, it feels a little weird for Spider-Man.
I was going to say, I would have never expected that.
No.
Yeah, he does kind of a little like wrist brace parry and then fires it back at the guy. And I think more problematically for the combat, the signaling isn't great.
That it's not, because it looks exactly the same starting off as a regular attack that you would normally dodge, and then it goes from that to like a yellow flash or slightly bigger yellow flash or something. It's hard to kind of get them figured out. And to be fair, at this point, like you start using it more the farther you go in, and I've gotten used to it. But when I first started, I never used it. I just took the hit or jumped the hell out of the way. And I just can't do it. I mean, but now where I'm at in the game, I don't know if it got easier or it was something I just had to get used to because the enemy types are different. I use it a lot more, but it's also, given my situation, which you'll probably understand when you get to it, you'll kind of see it. But at first, yeah, it's not good because it's
so
hard. It's hard to differentiate those two.
And I think that's emblematic of really what the game's primary issue is for me. I've talked about story, but it's bloated, right? It's bigger. It's got more stuff happening. It's both Miles Morales and Peter Parker. It's more complicated, but that doesn't necessarily make something better, right? I've talked in this space a lot about liking elegance, and I think 2018 really had a lot of elegant things with the way that the tokens worked and the way that the suits built up and the way that they had their skill tree work. And I'm not saying anything made by humans is perfect. I'm not saying it couldn't be improved. I'm saying that what they did for Spider-Man 2, I don't find to be an improvement from Spider-Man 1 or specifically Miles Morales. I really do think, much like Mirage, that there is value to these game developers sometimes just having to make something smaller, because Miles Morales was tight. It was focused. And I think it was really the best Spider-Man experience. And this one, I think when we talk about story from the bloat, you get a lot of the same beats, right? Miles Morales is Spider-Man, so you're getting a lot of the same kind of, it's very difficult for work-life balance when you're Spider-Man. And you get like one cutscene for Peter Parker having that, and then one cutscene for Miles Morales doing that. And you're like, okay, what is gained for us having two Spider-Men right now in terms of storytelling and plot momentum? And so I think they've got the pacing issues we saw pretty predominantly in Ragnarok, and they've been brought to Insomniac, I think, really for the first time in Spider-Man 2.
I think that those two, what you're talking about as far as like what Miles went through and the balance and everything, it's they're doing that again, and they're adding in that relationship between Miles and Peter and how that's going to work out. And I couldn't tell you. That's kind of one of those things where they kind of need to stick the landing, like I said. If they don't, it's going to be a huge miss. But if they do it, if they pull it off, great. But technically, like I said before, this game, I think, is better in every way as far as, aside from the story. I think the combat's better, but that's just my personal opinion. I think the traversal is so much fun. And how
do you feel about the spider wings?
I love them. I mean, it makes it so much better. I don't fast travel anymore. I fast traveled all the time in 2018 in Miles. There was just time. Now you don't even have to. I mean, you can get places so fast. Then again, fast traveling, when I do it, is instantaneous, which is amazing. I have had no frame rate problems. I've had no graphical issues. It's just been like, from that aspect and from like a technical aspect, I've had no problems. But I can.
Oh yeah, I was just wondering how you felt about them. To me, the fantasy of Spider-Man is swinging through the city. I don't really want to be an extreme sports guy.
Well, you don't have to use them.
I know you don't have to use them, except that a lot of the distances between places are pretty demanding.
I mean, no more than 2018. I don't think. I mean, it's just.
Well, there's a second island. I mean,
the second island, right? I mean, you can fast travel. There's other options, but you got to unlock fast travel now, but you didn't. You
do have to unlock fast travel. Speaking of kind of Ubisoftification, right? They've added this notion of doing enough stuff in a region to unlock fast travel there. It feels very kind of open world, need to do things, check the box type game design. I really do feel like Spider-Man 2, and I don't know this from behind the scenes, has a different kind of design director or design team than the first one. And obviously companies change personnel, but it's got a different feel than the first two Spider-Man games, in my opinion, in terms of the design philosophy behind some of the things. They tried to shrink the tokens concept into essentially two types of tokens. And so you just go to missions and you get 200 tech tokens and things like that. And I think it's tried
like 3 or 4. Right? They got
they have tech, and then they have like
rare
fancy tech.
Yeah, they've got like 3 or 4 different tokens that you have.
But in the original, it was like crimes and fortresses and backpacks and.
Yeah, I don't know where to get them. Even though there's a thing that actually will tell you can actually just press a button.
There is. They've got a button. Where can I get these things? It comes straight from like mobile design.
Yeah.
Right. It's like go hit mission 1 3 6 times. Yeah. Okay.
It's fine.
I love that Travis is just waiting to speak, and the chat is confused because it's been so long that Travis hasn't interjected with an opinion.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's been kind of quiet. I will say this.
I'm not talking because I haven't played it, so I'm letting you guys go. Like,
I figure Travis just feels I'm using my own rope, and he's just going to come swinging at me.
No, I don't think he is. I would guess he isn't. But I will say that just to finish it up, I'm having a good time. It's fun. I like the characters. I could do without some of the exposition in some of these longer, not even cutscenes. They're like interactive talking things. I don't even know what the hell they are. Combat's fun.
Right bumper to make 3-pointer.
It takes a while to get through some of this stuff, but otherwise, I'm enjoying it. Not my game of the year. I can tell you that right now. There's no chance it's going to overtake. I mean, it would have to come out in the last 40% or whatever I have and just do something that I'm not expecting, not even story-wise, just like all of a sudden do something crazy. But, it's still going to be up there for me. And I've had a good time playing it. So it's a fun game to play.
And I want to add that, right? Because I've given Mike critiques. When I'm allowed to be Spider-Man and fight some bad guys and do some things on the ground in kind of the normal gameplay flow, I enjoy playing Spider-Man 2. But as a narrative first game that's telling a story, I have not been intrigued by overall what the state of the world is or what I'm doing. It seems to think that it can just rest on its cachet of your Spider-Man, and I don't think it really can.
Yeah. It can't for me. But again, like I said, I'm the worst person to give this opinion, though. I am the worst, and I will admit that 100%. I'm a huge Spider-Man fanboy, and
you're still on Baldur's Gate 3 though, is your clear?
Oh yeah,
game
for
of the year?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, I don't even know. It was like it just changed everything I thought about video games. I mean, which is crazy at 47 years
Box
old.
Quote.
I mean, it was nuts. I mean, what they did with that game, I'm not going to get into it, but it was literally game changing for me. I mean, it was something different, and I played it in like the worst conditions at first. So, I mean, I've got like 500 hours in it. It's disgusting. Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 is a great choice.
Yeah. All right, quiet guy, which I'm not used to saying towards you. Where are you in Spider-Man in terms of how much have you played and what are your thoughts?
I've played less than these two, which is why I wanted to give them a chance to slug it out, and also because I think it's interesting how different their opinions are about this game. I was personally just listening and enjoying the back and forth there and the different perspectives, but I kind of am in the middle of these two, and for the reason, first of all, I should say I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, which is Peter Parker was me in high school. I was a dorky kid that got bullied and wished I had a spider that would give me powers. So I very much related. I read all those comics while I was in high school and dreamed about one day maybe making something of myself. But the Spider-Man games, to me, including the first one in Miles, which I think I finished Miles, but I definitely finished the first one in 2018. They to me were great games that did everything that you would expect from a Spider-Man game well, but did not stand out to me as amazing 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 games to me. And so I thought that the games were overhyped and people were kind of enamored with just the IP of Spider-Man, which I totally understand. There's a lot of passion and love about it, but to me, I was always like, you guys are swooning over a game that is pretty milk toast. It's pretty table stakes, it felt to me, those games. And so seeing this one come out and have a little bit of more tepid response, I kind of feel vindicated. People thought Spider-Man 2 was going to be a game of the year. Turns out it isn't even the best game that came out this week. So to me, that feels kind of like, all right, well, maybe people's standards are improving a little bit, or they're suffering the sequel problem, which is, once you've done it once, there's a lot of pressure on to do something new in a sequel. And I don't know if Spider-Man 2 does enough of that for me. I agree with Dan in some areas, like the traversal feels a lot better. Combat is mixed. I sort of see Hoag's point. Like, I'm a guy who loves perfectly parrying in Souls games, and I will admit he's 100% right. It feels super weird and out of place. Yeah. It's also not Spider-Man's combat style. Like, he's not a parry guy. He's like a dodge and get out of the way because he's ultimately scrawny.
Yeah, he's not hand-to-hand
combat.
Yeah,
he's not a that you would expect a parry from like Wolverine. And so I think yeah, that it's a good game. Like if I was reviewing Spider-Man 2, I'd probably give it an 8, but that's what I would have given Spider-Man 1. So to me, it's just more of like a great game that is not by any means amazing. It doesn't blow me away. And so I think it's okay to have games like that. I think it's okay to have like a Spider-Man game that you're like, look, that's time well spent. But I will say so far, I agree with with what Hogue said, that I think Spider-Man 1 used its time more wisely, and Miles especially used its time more wisely. And I feel like Spider-Man 2 isn't getting, like if you're going to make a great game that doesn't do anything crazy new, then you got to use that time really, like you got to pick your battles with how you're going to spend people's time. And I don't think that you spend it dragging it out when you don't really have anything new to say. So I agree with Hogue in some areas, I agree with Dan in some areas, but my opinion really is just that it's a great game that to me never really reached the lofty 9 and 10 heights, and I don't think Spider-Man 2 has really changed that opinion for me. So I will be playing that entire game. I love Spider-Man, and so I'm just going to play it as a fanboy. But I will say this, I've never been more afraid about what Insomniac's going to do with Wolverine, because talk about melodramatic characters that have a lot of room for you to put in really like slow sequences and flashbacks and stuff. And like the fact that Spider-Man is inherently fun and goofy, that's like part of that brand, I think speaks to Insomniac's strengths, and seeing them move away from that goofiness and more toward the melodrama makes me very afraid of what Wolverine's going to be like, because Wolverine is an edgelord, and I really worry about how they're going to handle. Yeah, I really worry about how they're going to handle an edgelord game. And yeah, that's the other thing about this, is I kind of just have a bad taste in my mouth with the whole Spider-Man Insomniac thing, because I really don't want them to become the licensed Marvel studio. And I love their weird projects, and I kind of see them getting boxed into a corner that doesn't really feel that Insomniac to me. So I have a grudge. Not really. I will say this, Travis, I've got an issue with. Yeah,
you do see Ratchet popping out in Spider-Man 2.
Yes,
time, right? Because
I
so
love
much
Ratchet
in that game that you can see, like, okay, that's a Ratchet and Clank thing that they just put in Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, the 8 out of 10 that IGN gave Spider-Man is definitely a score I'm agreeing with so far. It feels right to me, but that's not really a change for me. I felt that way about Spider-Man 1, and that's me trying to put my love of Spider-Man aside, which is frankly hard to do. I have a very strong affinity for that character.
And don't do it.
So yeah,
I don't.
Yeah,
I am. So obviously been sitting here listening to the three of you, and I'm hearing a lot of things I kind of expected from this game, and I think that kind of speaks to some of the things Hogue was talking about, which is, and we've talked about it a lot on this show, I know. But a lot of what you guys described just feels formulaic to me, and which sounds weird, especially for someone who loves like Souls games as much as I do and things like that, because they are formulaic to a degree as well. I recognize that. Maybe it's just what I prefer. But I think your point about the kind of cutscenes, the Uncharted 4 nature of Spider-Man 2, listening to you kind of scares me. That's what I'm afraid of to see out of PlayStation first party continually. I think when they started to evolve their first party into this kind of third person cinematic experience in the PlayStation 4 era, we've talked about how that kind of changed the scope. You know, it's widely celebrated. I would think that the majority really like it, right? It's pretty obvious from the sales and the critic scores that this is a liked approach, right? So I think we may be being a little more critical than some others. But for me personally, there's some aspects of those types of games I like, but it definitely feels kind of like a box that they're trying to put all of these games in and kind of hit check marks of certain attributes that these games have to give that same sense of feeling across different IPs. And I think Travis makes a good point too, thinking about the future of Insomniac with Wolverine. I would hope that Wolverine is a vastly different game from Spider-Man. And I don't know. Obviously the jury's out. We'll see. But it just feels like when you look across the last several PlayStation first party releases, there's a lot of similarity. And that annoys me to some degree. It just doesn't doesn't strike it for me. It's not something that really excites me anymore. And Ragnarok, I think, was the worst offender for me.
Still is.
I think Ragnarok is worse than Spider-Man 2 on this, but there are Agrabota type scenes in Spider-Man 2.
Okay. Yeah, and it's like, it's not that I don't get what they're trying to do. And I think some people, again, I think probably quite a few people really enjoy those kind of slowed down, talk it through narrative things. But I also think it's kind of a mistake to associate that one-to-one with storytelling, right? That doesn't make good storytelling. And I think that just saying, oh, it's cinematic, it's got cutscenes, and hey, these characters talk a lot, that doesn't mean it's telling a good story. That's not the only way to tell a good story. It not even close to the only way to tell a good story. And it doesn't even necessarily make for a good story. In fact, to Hoag's point, from a game perspective, it can feel disjointed. It can take you out of the experience that you're trying to provide the player. And so I think there's a fine line there. It's my problem, honestly. And I know you guys will probably disagree with me because I'm pretty sure Hogan and Dan really like some of these games. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the problem I've always had with Kojima games. I feel like there's some really cool aspects to gameplay and things that he does in a lot of his games. And then there's this other stuff that just completely takes me out of it. Long cutscenes, things that are drawn out ad nauseum. And it's just like, that doesn't create a good experience for me personally. And I feel like a lot of these recent PlayStation first party titles, Ragnarok being the biggest offender to me, it's just like you're the god of war and you have these amazing combat abilities and boss fights at times and these amazing scenes and stuff. But then like to spend half an hour, 2 hours just walking around talking and being told, that's a whole nother thing, being told what to do at every step of the way. It's just exhausting.
I was playing Spider-Man 2 with my daughter, as I do with these games. And you definitely have the Sony reminders audio of whatever it is that you're doing. And so that is definitely the house style of Sony games. It's a little bit less annoying than Horizon, but not a ton.
Horizon, another perfect example. Like I've said before, right? I love Zero Dawn. I platinum that game and I don't even care about trophies. I just loved it that much, right? And Forbidden West just lost me. It just lost me. It just feels... You guys have said bloated a few times, and it feels bloated. So I don't know. I could kind of go on about this, but I think as we get into this new era of PlayStation that we've talked about several times now, of what they do with live service and new leadership coming in and what they decide to do, it's going to be very interesting to me. I'm very curious to see how, if at all, they change some of this direction. Because, like we said, from a financial and sales success of these major tentpole titles and a critic review of these tentpole titles, they're killing it, right? So I don't think I'm in the our opinions on some of these viewpoints are in the majority at all. So if you're making a ton of money and you're selling a ton of games and you're getting critics raving about it, why would you change it?
No, I agree. And the tweet that caught so much fire for me was commenting on an IGN article that said Sony is the king of storytelling because of Spider-Man 2. And my tweet was, these kinds of articles are why we get the bloated, ponderous storytelling of Sony house style now. And that brought fire down on me, which is fine. I don't care. But that was the comment is, look, yes, critics are raving about it. I would prefer it if, especially for narrative-based games like a Spider-Man 2, we had a critical class in video games that was more concerned with what is good narrative, what is dramatic momentum, and what is compelling than just gameplay, right? Spider-Man 2 is a good video game to play. It's not in its full entirety a good video game because of the story that it chooses to use for however long it runs. So I think we need a kind of a movie critic type shift into at least analyzing the stories these games choose to tell, because that's part of what's going to make the experience good or bad when you're narrative first video games.
I just want to state that I think opinion articles on websites are good, even if you don't agree with them. But yeah, also I want to say I think Spider-Man 2 relies on QuickTime events too much in its fights, and it bothers me. That's a pet peeve of mine in really every game. But I
you know what the big problem with it is there, especially in like the Sandman fight when you start out, is that it has those tutorial prompts and QuickTime kind of prompt looking things that are just designed to tell you how to fight. And then it drops them. and then you can just circle Sandman for an hour, and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to do the things that you told me to do before, but that wasn't actually a QuickTime event. That was your tutorialization.
No, there's really not a lot of it throughout the game.
There's some, and I will tell you, for somebody that's still at least a little bit working on his left hand, they have a lot of like variable analog use of the trigger buttons.
That's the worst too, guys. Bring that up because I don't know why.
I mean, like the dual sense stuff.
Yeah, I love.
Like hold this down at like 3/5. You know.
Oh. Yeah, get this little shaky little dot, and mine's. I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but mine are like this. I can barely. My fingers are going like this, like just trying to get these two things. No, I mean you can shut that off though.
That's funny.
And my occupational therapist would love
Yeah.
Spider-Man too.
They've got a lot of good accessibility options.
By the way, I hate that entire feature of the DualSense 5. The entire feature of having to different levels of the button presses, and you like in it was Returnal was the one that really bothered me. Where like a half pull is you aiming down the sight.
That
and
took a long time to get used to.
It hurts my brain, and I never get used to it. And I pull down all the way, and I just don't like that feature.
If I can talk about another kind of minor nitpick for Spider-Man, I think that there's an understood industry look at what a button icon looks like when you need to hold it down. That it's like the little dash, and then it becomes a full circle when you hold that button down. For some reason, Insomniac's UI designer decided that they needed to tell us where the X and triangle and square and circle buttons were by using that little dash. So whenever they show the picture of an X, it's got a dash at the bottom. Whenever they show the picture of a triangle, it's got a dash at the top. But while you might innately read that as hold down the button, it doesn't mean that. In fact, they'll write out whether you need to press or hold it seemingly randomly. It's always just the dash because you might forget where the triangle button is, apparently. So it's a weird choice.
I didn't have that part, but I do agree. I understand the pain of how hard do you hold down the button, because I don't know about you guys, I go full bore. You know, when I need to hit a trigger, that thing's getting smashed. You know what I mean? I don't do the half pull. I don't have any restraint there.
I don't have a big problem with that. I think the DualSense is actually probably one of the reasons I play on PlayStation more. Like I know Ghost Recon added like a half pull for like holding your breath through a sniper rifle, you know, and it works, you know, it works fine. If it's implemented correctly, it's fine. But if they just throw it in there to just use the features, then it usually doesn't work out. And unfortunately, and you wouldn't think this would be the case with first party game, you know, a lot of them do that, where it's just like, you really could have done a little bit better job. You know, you've got the inside track here, you know, you just do something cool.
Yeah, my problem with it, Dan, is really that like it just doesn't make sense from an input design. Like if I were making a game and I had to use the trigger to mean two different things, I would make it so that a light tap is like a light attack and a hard pull is like you do one of the harder attacks where it takes you longer, a strong attack or whatever you want to call it. But it's weird that like half pulling the left trigger means you aim down sights and full pulling means you do something completely different. To me, that's like, it's not really like thematically met. So I don't really have a problem with the way Spider-Man 2 implements it, to be honest, because it's like different degrees it's like you're playing like a meter game. I get that. But I just have a problem with that whole feature where like they use one button to mean two things. And usually the things that you're assigning it to do, it's like, this could have been a paddle, you know, just put a paddle on your controller.
Well, they make a lot of interesting choices, right? They use the touch button in the controller for gesture movement, which always feels like you didn't actually press anything and you hope it works. So that's bizarre. Like you push up, like you're swiping up to get your camera. You swipe down to do something else. You swipe left and right to do various things on that big touchpad button. I don't think anybody, even Sony, has primarily used it as anything but a giant button. So I mean, it's clear that Insomniac either wanted to or was directed to try to use all the features on the controller. That's fine, but I just don't think that they turn out very well. And yes, for me personally, being asked to pull the left trigger at various degrees of strength is maybe the hardest thing you can ask me to do.
Mm-hmm. That's a good little exercise, a little continued therapy at home.
You got PT. Yeah, you got PT right into your game.
There you go, dude.
I haven't had a stroke. I mean, I can barely do it. I mean, I can imagine how tough it is for him. Well, probably. I probably had several, actually. Probably just had one like 2 seconds ago. I don't know.
I just like to say Returnal is awesome, by the way.
Returnal is awesome. I wish
I do love Returnal.
I really had the hardest part of that game was me learning the left half.
Me too.
Yeah,
once I got that down,
made the game like 50% harder.
Yeah. I love Return. Man, I hope Housemarque does continues in that kind of vein. That was amazing. All right, guys, that's a lot on Spider-Man 2. We'll see. We'll touch in next week to see once you guys kind of finish it up, where you landed on it finally. But yeah, another big release this week, and of course, simultaneously this week we got the biggest, well, not the biggest, but a big release from Nintendo in Super Mario Brothers Wonder, which is a return to their 2D platforming chops. And quite frankly, I will speak on this one. I'm not as far as I'd like to be, but I do have a few hours in it now. I think I've got maybe 20, 25 of the Wonder Seeds or whatever, few worlds down. I adore this game so far. Absolutely adore it. I am a 2D platforming kind of stan, grew up with it, of course. Super Mario World, I continue to believe is one of the greatest. It's on my greatest games of all time. All-time favorite. Rayman Legends, Super Mario Brothers 3, all those classic kind of 2D games. And this one so far is really kind of hitting the boxes of what I expected and wanted out of the game. The early levels are pretty easy, but I can already see it kind of ramping up in terms of having the secrets on each level and different things you can discover, right? And I think there's just a charm to the game that Nintendo just does so well. In this type of space. I criticize Nintendo a lot on this show. I don't play my Switch often at all. I'm not a huge Nintendo fan nowadays. But I've been eagerly anticipating this one, and so far it is everything that I hoped it would be. And I just can't wait to play it more, honestly. I love it. I love seeing them return to this 2D space. I also think it's really cool that you have different characters that you can choose from to play as that have, kind of help if your kids want to play or younger children, right? Like for instance, you can play as the Yoshis and they're invincible, so you don't necessarily die. You can just kind of run around the level. There's co-op that you can play with your family, right? And online. And I think it's a really, really good example of a modern Mario 2D Nintendo first party developed game. They just do this thing better than anyone else. And I love it. My
feeling with Nintendo games is always like, when you see a Nintendo game like Mario Wonder do something, it feels like it was always done that way. Like they've always thought through the implementation of what they're putting in. I love Mario Wonder's online, which is essentially just a kind of re-envisioning of a Dark Souls type online. You've got ghosts running around everywhere and they can help you from time to time. But it's just really well done. And there's a joy in feeling, and they put this in the tutorial messages a lot, that like those ghosts are playing this at the same time that you are. And it gives you that joy of like, yeah, we're all just elephants running around fighting hoppos and we're doing it together. And isn't that great? And if you fall down a pit, your ghost comes in. And if you touch one of the signs somebody left for you, you're back to life. And like, it's just a really good implementation of multiplayer that is very Nintendo. Like nobody can swear at each other. Nobody can get you in trouble with the family, but Travis says,
I'll find a way.
Point. Yeah. You'll find a way. Yes. Well, it's a little less traumatizing than playing through Travis's, what was the game called from the Dead by Daylight people levels?
Are you talking about Evil Dead or?
No, I was talking about the one where you set that trap room where I could not survive more than 2 seconds.
Oh, Mind the Maker.
Meet your maker.
Meet your maker. Yes. So it's less traumatizing than that, but I fully agree with Ains that it's great to have different character choices, and I like it better than like Super Mario Brothers 2 implementation because they don't have different powers. You're not fighting over, I need that long jump or anything like that.
Yes, exactly.
The same characters. They don't interact with each other physically, so it doesn't have the new Super Mario Brothers problems where you're just shoving people into pits and things. It's a really well done game, and I think when I think about Mario, and Mario 2 and Mario 3 and Super Mario World, this is obviously when I was a younger person, but there was a sense of joy and discovery in those games that I really haven't felt since Wonder's release on Friday. I think it really does feel like the next game after Super Mario World. Like if they took all their imagination from the Galaxy series and from the 3D games and they put it back into 2D, it's that kind of upgrade from what the older games were. And I really didn't know Nintendo was even going to try to do this with their 2D enterprises anymore. It feels as imaginative and fun as one of the 3D games, which is usually what I'm excited about. And if you're at all interested in any of those things that I just said, Super Mario Brothers Wonder is a must-buy. It is fantastic.
Yeah. Elu, who's in the chat and reviewed it for us, gave it a 10. He is also a Super Mario World stan through and through. And, I've talked to him a lot about this game because obviously he's gone through the whole game now. The things he's already said around kind of how it builds, right? The later levels getting more complex and more things to find and everything that you would expect out of a 2D platformer are there. And I'm just super excited to get into them. But it's just like almost immediately playing this game, you just have a smile on your face. And I'm just having fun. And it's great to get those games once in a while. I've said before, I'm a horror stan. I love dark games. I love hard games. Like that's where I live and breathe. But these types of games are just, they're just fantastic. They take me back to childhood.
It's joyful. They use those talking flowers so well. There's comedic timing in the game.
Yeah. And we should have known, like, I don't know the names off the top of my head, but, a lot of people talked about when you look at the staff from Nintendo that created this game and developed it, it was like an all-star cast, right? This is like their greatest people of the kind of Mario universe, if you will, making this game. And I think even early on, it shows through. It shows right away on the screen. And it's beautiful. What a colorful, like, stunning looking game. And you get those the Wonder Seed, or is it Wonder Seed or is it Wonder
Flowers?
Yeah, Wonder Flower. And like you feel like you're on an acid trip, not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but it's just like
finally
changes the world
and
gives you new mechanics, and it's just awesome, man. So I'm just super pumped to put more time into it and talk more about the later levels here in the coming years.
That's that joy of discovery, right? You're like, you find that Wonder Flower in every level and you're like, what is it going to do? I have no idea.
Yeah, and it's always unique, and
they're always different. They always play that really weird music, and it's a good time. And yeah, it is gorgeous. It's a really gorgeous 2D game in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah,
I got to say, normally I don't really care at all about what animal Mario is going to turn into in this game, but I love the elephant, and it's awesome.
The elephants are cool. I like how they have to squeeze into the pipes.
Yeah, everything about them is great. I'm really enjoying it. This seems to be a theme, but I don't know. Have you guys played much of this game? I only played like an hour, but
I'm about midway through
3 to 4.
Yeah,
okay. I've beaten the first 2 worlds. So
the theme is that I'm playing a lot more games in a lot less time per game. So. But I'm really liking what I've done what I've seen so far. I haven't played enough to say whether it's going to be like a 10 out of 10 for me, but given that Mario has really not missed in the Switch era, I would say like the Switch for Mario has been pretty damn good.
I really liked Odyssey too. I didn't think Odyssey was, for me, it wasn't the all-time top, but it was up there.
It was my game of the year that year for sure. Because I think that was the year it was either like everybody was saying Tears of the Kingdom or Odyssey, and I was definitely Team Odyssey.
Breath of the Wild, you mean?
Probably.
Sorry, Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, yeah.
Breath of the Wild, yeah. They were Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, they had really.
Odyssey was Odyssey 2018. We were talking about 2018. I think it was. Yeah,
it was the same year.
Switch's launch was the smartest and best console launch ever. They had a banger like every month.
Yeah, that was a great year for Nintendo. But yeah, the Odyssey was definitely great. And I just think, that team continues to show that Mario is still relevant, that they're finding new ways to do weird stuff. I also really appreciate that all the art in Wonder is 3D models, even though it's a 2D game. You can tell in certain moments, and it's like, wow, they put a lot of effort into like the 50% of the game you don't see on the other end of all the models. So it's really cool.
Alex said Odyssey was 2017. Maybe it was late 2017.
2017 was the
Breath of the Wild was at launch.
Yeah, the Switch launched in 2017. So early in the year, it would have been Breath of the Wild, and then end of that year. was Odyssey. That was definitely my game of the year, 2017. Odyssey was great.
The game of the year that year was Prey, by the way. But anyway,
not at launch.
Yes.
Maybe later.
Yeah, a couple weeks later, sadly. But it's fantastic so far. Funny enough, Elu, he said this in his review too, but he said Baldur's Gate 3 was his game of the year by a mile. Like, he had already said nothing's going to touch this year for me, and he now says Mario Wonder is his game of the year atop Baldur's Gate 3.
Damn.
He said it's just magical.
Damn.
So,
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I thought this was like the remake of the RPG for some reason. I had no idea.
That's coming out next month. That's coming out
next month. Yeah, I had no idea. I had to actually look it up. I was like, "What the hell is this Mario Wonder?" I had no idea.
Did you ever like the 2D Mario games? Are you into those? Or
I mean, Mario 3. That's probably the last one I played.
Mario 3 is incredible.
Well, I played Odyssey. That's not true. I played Odyssey, but that was really not.
I like that some people
not really 3D it's not side scroller, really.
Some people in the chat are learning in real time that Elu has turned on them in the Baldur's Gate chat. And they're like, "Oh no, we lost
Read
one.
His review.
We lost one of our Baldur's Gate stands."
Yeah. So anyway,
I have to, because we're all so positive, I do have to say, from my end, I have found that I can only play a 2D platformer like Wonder, even one that I'm really enjoying. I can only probably do 10 courses at a time. So it's been a slower run than like my time playing Spider-Man or what I really played this weekend the most, which was Diablo 4 Season 2.
Nice.
But that's nothing against Wonder. I have not been disappointed in any level that I've entered into. I just essentially say, "Yep, I'm good on Mario right now," and I go to the next thing.
I'm 100% with you. Yeah, I think it's just it's a play style of the game, and I'm also weird too. I like to things I really enjoy like that. I like to kind of savor. Like, I don't want to rush through them. Yeah, so I'm in the same camp. I'll play a few levels and then I'll go play some more Lords of the Fallen or something else. Yep.
You're like the dog that like buries the bone to eat, to bury it up.
Yeah, and nibble on it, here and there. Yeah, no doubt.
I'm kind of like that with all games, to be honest. I don't really binge games or shows. Actually, I hate binging shows too. I just like to get a little taste now and again, move on to something else. I kind of have ADD with games. It's a problem.
Let's so that's Wonder.
You're constantly called to play new things, right? So
exactly, yeah. And when if I binge a game, it feels like work, because that's the work format. Is I just don't I don't chew my food. I just eat it all, and then I'm like, when I'm on my free time, I'm like, you know what? I just kind of want to float from place to place. Kind of
have a taste of this.
Have a little taste of that. It's nice to be able to have a little option variety.
So that's Wonder. Like I said, you can check out Elu's review on the site. It went up, and we'll talk more about that obviously in the coming weeks as we play more of it. Of course, you gave us a nice segue, Hogue, to talk about a few of the updates to games that we want to talk about, including Diablo, Halo, and a couple others. But before we do that, let's get caught up on Super Chats, because we had some from the Spider-Man 2 conversation as well.
Gecko Gamer, with the €6, would you rate Resident Evil 7?
I think you meant 6, maybe
6.
No, I think you meant 7. Because Hogue does like 7. Never mind.
No, he's a 6 guy.
I think it was a joke for 6, but it doesn't matter.
Would I rate RE7 or RE6 higher than Spider-Man 2? I haven't beaten Spider-Man 2, so it wouldn't be fair for me to say one way or the other. But I've been enjoying my gameplay of Spider-Man 2 more than those 2 Resident Evil titles.
Bamskis.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah,
it's still good. Even when you complain about Spider-Man, you're just upset that it's not like 9 or 10 lofty game changer. I don't think anybody's saying like the game's bad. Like, to me, it's like a very polished, like good AAA game. It's just,
you can't have criticisms, Travis. It's not allowed.
Oh, watch me. Not every game. Every game. Never given a 10, guys. Never given a 10. I got criticisms.
Gecko, thank you. Tao with the member comment.
PlayStation needs to learn to not spoil major parts in their games. Spidey 1, Sinister 6, Spidey 2.
They definitely did it with Spidey 1.
Yeah, they definitely did that with Spider-Man 1. Don't even catch a glimpse of ads. I went pretty much dark, and I didn't get spoiled at all.
Yeah, I'm dark too.
So
I don't know the twist, so don't tell me.
Well, I haven't played the game, but even I knew that there's a whole Sandman fly through. You know, like they showed all that or showed pieces of it at least.
I had no idea.
I only know that you get 19 inches of venom. I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that is technically a spoil. Like based on where they're going to introduce the venom concept, I don't think that's not a spoiler. I think they probably have to. But yeah, I mean, one of the issues I have with Spider-Man 2 is not venom specifically, but in movie land, one of the major criticisms of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 is just that it has too much stuff going on. Nothing gets the right amount of time. So it's all this kind of disjointed, fan servicey, multiple villains, multiple components. And Spider-Man 2, the game, feels most like that to me. And if we had a critical class that was analyzing those kinds of things, I think we'd get more of that kind of discussion and maybe move away from what is something that movies have moved away from after they get, hit by reviews like that.
Bloated.
Gotcha. Tal, thank you, man. Always appreciate you. DS.
DS.
Dark Souls.
Or the Nintendo DS. With the 2 pounds, Hogue is very edgy today. I love it.
Edgy.
P.S. I love Spider-Man 2.
Wait until Insomniac makes a game about Hogue. Then they're going to make him even more edgy. All these slow cutscenes where he's walking, creeping
All my
through.
music slows down.
Yeah, creeping through small passageways to get to the next
Oh no,
room.
not the crevice crawl.
Great.
Now wait a minute. Yeah. I had 2 crevice interactions in Spider-Man 2, and I thought of both of you.
Yep. There you go. The crevices, dude. I live in the crevice. That's my whole life. I'm never in any room. I'm just in a crevice somewhere. That's if you're wondering, Travis, what is Travis up to right now? Just imagine me in between a crevice, not pressing forward or backward. I
try not to imagine you extra. No. The real time is enough.
It's not a daily occurrence that happens. Like, well, I wonder what Travis is doing right now.
No, but hey, now you're going to, right?
Spider-Man 2. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Spider-Man 2 is good.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for the super chat. Gecko's back again.
Yeah, with the 11 euros. Do you think Spider-Man 2 has gotten the same kind of problems that Ubisoft games have for some time? Too big, not much happening yet, still too bloated. I don't think it's anywhere near that level. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's got too much going on. It feels kind of anti-designed a little bit from the earlier Spider-Man games. And what I mean by that, and I know I've used this analogy in this space before, but in the land of board gaming, there's Euro design, which is points based and kind of elegance based, and there's Ameritrash. And I'm not speaking against my own country's board game design sensibilities here, but it essentially means that in order to emulate some kind of theme in a board game, you do it with 35 different decks of cards, right? Because you can always brute force theme with that kind of way instead of elegance. And I have always favored elegance. And I think Spider-Man did that better. And Spider-Man 2 kind of goes for this, throw everything at him and you'll feel like Spider-Man because there isn't anything that isn't Spider-Man in this. We're just going to throw 100 different Spider-Men at you and you'll love it. And that's just not my preferred design approach. I'm fully willing to admit that that's my personal tilt, but I don't think it's the best way to make games.
And I love Ameritrash.
I think we've talked about we've kind of made that comparison too before of PlayStation first party getting towards the Ubisoft problem, but I would say it's fair to argue they're not to that level. That's
it's going to be hard.
They're the GOAT. Ubisoft's the GOAT to bloat.
They are the
bloat goat.
Bloat goat.
I'm just imagining like a really, really overweight goat. Like it's just so he's not having a good time. And look, if you're not laughing right now, your imagination just isn't understanding how big goats could be. That's really the only reason.
Oh man,
I just imagine the bloat goat screaming now. So hey.
The bloat goat. Dude,
trying to climb up on those walls like and failing, just keeps falling off.
Dude, bloat goat is a 10 out of 10 hashtag. Hashtag bloat goat. Can you imagine people start using that hashtag with Ubisoft games? Like, dang, this Ubisoft game's 400 hours, hashtag bloat goat. Like, dude, that would just be so good.
Oh, man.
I want to see it as part of their Twitter ad.
Me too, dude. Honestly, they should own it. That's free marketing.
They should put bloat goat with it should have a crown, as the little thing next to the
yeah, for sure. A goat and then a crown emoji. That's like literally like
oh shit. Oh man, Gecko, thank you as always. Alex
with $2 super chat. I was like the critic from Ratatouille with wonder. I've never seen
Chef's
Ratatouille.
kiss.
You've never seen
Oh,
Ratatouille?
no? Great
That's
movie.
my favorite Pixar movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
No?
Assuming he was
Oh.
very happy.
I've not really seen any Disney movies. I didn't have a childhood, but I do know Ratatouille from Disney Dreamlight Valley. Is in that game.
You mean Remy?
Yep,
Ratatouille
sure.
is a dish. Remy's
Ratatouille is in the game though. You make Ratatouille, the dish.
Okay.
So yeah, I know the character.
Refer to it as a character.
Well, is food not a character? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know we were getting all gatekeepy over here, but what a character could be. Yeah, no, Remy. Yeah, I know Remy. You're right.
Alex, thank you, man. Appreciate you. All right. So Hogue, you want to talk to us a little bit about Diablo. So I'm hearing very good things about season 2. I installed it, of course. I have not played it though. Again, just too many things. How are you feeling about it?
I love it, but I'm the wrong person to ask that question, I think, because I was fine with season 1 and I've loved Diablo 4 basically since it released.
I can talk about some of the changes.
Yeah.
Which I think are huge improvements. So I do think season 1, to Hogue's point, like if you're not deep into the end game, like, oh, I'm trying to get to level 100 every season, like I like all that stuff. I think Diablo season 1 was fine for you. It was really just like the hardcore community that was pissed, which, spoiler alert, that's every live service game. It's
every hardcore community.
Every live service game, it is the extreme. I have no life. This is the only game I play. People who are the most pissed, and those tend to be the ones that get highlighted in Reddit or Reddit threads and Twitter threads and yada yada. But I do think season 2 makes some really smart changes to make those people happier without affecting the enjoyment of the casual player, because that's a problem that other live service games have. Is once they start catering to the hardcore, they make the game less enjoyable for the average player. And then there's the question of, okay, who are you making this game for? Is it me or is it for streamers? And Destiny is a great example of a game that has that problem. It seems like increasingly they make it for streamers, and that makes it not feel fun for people that are more casual. I think Diablo's changes to making the grind from 50 to 100 40% faster is a really good choice. I think the new endgame bosses give you actual things to grind for. The whole summoning ritual to getting the new ultra uber boss is really cool, and I love the way that requires kind of like teamwork and coordination with other people if you're trying to grind it. And I think the theme of season 2 is a lot cooler and less generic than like zombie infection kind of, that's like, to me, the least exciting theme for a season. And I think vampires are significantly cooler and also leads to cooler looking items. Yeah, Ancient Lord of the Vampires is sweet. So, and I love the new character with her crossbow.
Eris is great. Who is that voice actor?
I don't know, but she's super cool, and I love that she like doesn't like you. She's like, "You're a vampire. I'm probably gonna kill you later, but for now, you can work with me." So yeah, I think season 2 is great. Is it going to take some time for Blizzard to get back that goodwill they may have lost for some players in between launch of vanilla and season 1? I don't know, but I can tell you this: season 2 is a significant step up, and I think proves that they came to play with their live service game. Like, regardless of whether you like season 1 or not, like they showed up on day 1 with live service aspirations. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention finally fixing the gem thing is the highlight of the season for me. The fact that
I didn't even know they were going to do that until the season started, that they changed it to this breakdown of gem parts.
Yeah, they added it to the crafting bag, and it's huge. Also, I love Ains's frozen frame. Oh, you just missed it. That was such a good frozen frame.
Did it correct, or am I still frozen?
It corrected.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, for a while it was
quality of life stuff. They have stashes everywhere now. The gems have changed. I really like the kind of essentially permanent Helltide in season 2. Is better than what it was in the season 1, because Helltides are only on a certain schedule. And then you had all these kind of missions to do things during Helltides that were really problematic for me, for someone who isn't scheduling their day around Diablo 4 items. And so one of the things season 2 does is they take the Helltide concept and they make it a blood harvest. Doesn't matter. It's vampires, right? And there's always one that's up.
Oh, nice.
You can always do the things in the season journey. and it's really well done. I also think that with season 1, they talked about having game-breaking builds and things that were possible with the Malignant Hearts, and I think they just went a little too, I don't know, normal, not wanting to break things. And with the vampire stuff, you get so many powers and you can do so many things that it really does feel like you can break some more stuff with the builds that are afforded to you. So I think season 2 is more fun. I'm just the wrong person to ask for what's better about it, other than it feels like the XP comes faster, and I'm not even sure that it is. I'm at level 35. I'm not sure it happens for the early levels.
Yeah, it comes faster, but it really ramps up at level 50 because
so
basically XP ramps with creatures that get as they get harder, which isn't something that was always true. So that's cool.
But I love Diablo 4. I'm still not entirely sure how the seasons transitioned. Like, I have almost everything I had before in terms of like potions and things, but a bunch of my waypoints turned off. Like, I guess that's part of what they did. So that's been interesting to kind of go back and set up the world again how you need it to be. But
it completely changed the way that whole map XP progression thing works. And I would say that's currently their biggest point of confusion, is like the clarity on like why that decision is made. And they had an explanation for vanilla, and then they had an explanation for season 1, and then for season 2 they have a very different explanation. And so it's like clearly they're still experimenting, but like the design philosophy around that is very confusing. I'll give you that for sure. Yeah,
it is, because you start out, you got your 10 points and you got everything from your exploration, but then you have to go hit waypoints again for some reason.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think it's a good game. I agree with Travis entirely on the addition of the end bosses, and like they fuel themselves, right? Like, so if you think about it as like Destiny, they give resources to get to the next one, to get to the next one, to get to the next one, to get to the final one. Like, all of that is much better thought out, which I can understand that people that are in that end game all the time are going to like more. I'm not usually there. I got there in season 1 to some extent, although I was in the mid 70s in levels, and that probably doesn't count for most of the really hardcore. And now I'm back in the mid 30s. I'm back in the uncomfortable teenage years of your Diablo.
Yeah,
character.
That's the worst part of the grind. But I think the good news is if you got to mid 70s last season, you might have a shot at 100 now. And that was one of their main goals, was to make it actually feasible for players that weren't, going hardcore and inhaling Diablo. It
is funny. I know that you're right, Travis, but I know that my timer also says I played Diablo for 5 days or whatever. It's like, yeah.
Well, there's some people who played it like as streamers and didn't get to 100 in season 1. So that was an actual grind, especially level 90 to 100. Like, those levels took forever. And so it's just really cool to see them responding to feedback and having a plan. And I'm really excited for what this game is going to look like by the time it gets its first expansion, because it has a real chance to have its like true, not everyone is into the live service model and playing seasons, but if they come out with like a major campaign a year after the initial launch, and with all the changes they've made and their live service model chugging, oh dude, it's going to be what we call it in the Destiny community is the Taken King moment. Like, a year after Destiny came out, they did the Taken King expansion, which a lot of people thought was like when Destiny really made it, because that first year was so tough. And I could see them having that, but like on steroids, because their game was already really good, and that already really good launch with a good live service game, and then a year of improvements plus a new expansion that itself could be cool and honestly maybe better than the main campaign, since the main campaign was really just a prologue to this big conflict that's shaping up. I think it has such enormous potential.
Yeah, I think.
I love it. I love it as a game. I'm looking forward to following it. I agree that season 2 is stronger. To me, it's following the arc I would have expected. Season 1 is kind of the conservative season. Season 2 is like, we can play a little bit more. And I would expect the seasons to kind of play a little bit more until we get up to that expansion. You got to give me Pallies, though. I would like a Paladin class in that expansion.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're watching Blizzard.
I think they've already kind of alluded to the fact that they're not going to be adding classes until major expansions, and I would guess that those expansions are going to be themed around whatever class they add. And if you've been paying attention to the lore in Diablo, it sure seems like we could use a Paladin-like cleansing. So yeah. I would be very surprised if that wasn't the class they went with. But yeah,
I need my
probably going to be a little bit of a wait for that, at least 6 months.
I was going to say, I honestly think it'll be longer. Blizzard is typically slow with full expansions. The seasons still continue at cadence, but
well, apparently they were working on this expansion like well before the game launched.
I know,
5 months before the game came
but
out.
it's Blizzard.
So.
It's Blizzard and it's
right.
Diablo.
Right.
But I mean, Diablo
they give
2
me
and
seasons that are good, I can go a couple of years before an expansion. Just keep this rolling.
Yeah,
I was going to say
think
Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 are still played today, right? I mean, like Diablo is a long-term franchise for them. 4 will be around for many, many years, so they'll just keep working on it.
The one economics tweak I would make is that I really do prefer it when the battle pass has enough of the premium currency to buy the next battle pass in it.
Of course.
Yeah, never going to happen. I don't think so.
Why? Why is it never going to happen though?
Because profit.
Fortnite does okay.
Fortnite does okay.
I don't know. According to Epic Games, they're in the poorhouse. You know.
Yeah. They just laid off all their staff. Poor Epic Games. They're rough right now.
Well, they spent money on a damn fool idealistic crusade that they took to the Supreme Court.
Multiple, I would say.
Hey,
they got to pay their lawyers somehow, man. They
do got to pay their lawyers somehow.
Battle pass
blood of the innocent.
I would love to see that change a little bit. I also have a problem with the fact that all of the cool armor and cosmetic items are in the premium. Like it's really hard to get good. They changed that a little bit, but like especially the armor, it just feels like none of the cool stuff is in the game that you can earn, which was not true of the vanilla campaign. Vanilla campaign had a lot of cool gear, and it feels like season 1 and season 2 so far, all the cool gear has been you got to pay for it or earn it in the battle pass.
Stuff is definitely in the premium store.
Yeah,
I like the Awoken stuff from season 1, but
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I'm excited to get back to it. It's just been like we said. We still got more games to talk about. We said this week was going to be all just games. But yeah, Katie Cotton in the chat, who is in our Discord as well, talking Diablo all the time, really enjoys it, and she's very positive on season 2 as well. So pretty cool.
Season 2 is strong, and chat, find me who the voice actress is for Eris, not for Destiny. I like all Erises, apparently. The Eris in Diablo.
Elu said, well, it's not Megan Fox, thankfully.
Oh, no, it's not.
How do you know? Maybe she took voice lessons and she got
It doesn't sound at all like
We
her,
know she didn't.
Yeah.
We know that did not happen.
You know what? Believe in Megan Fox a little bit. She like all of us, she's working her way through a crevice. All right.
It's
the crevice
Gemma
of life.
Chan.
Yeah.
The crevice of life.
The crevice of life. We're all just in a loading screen from one room to the other. Looking away.
Alejandro on Hoke Channel says it's Gemma Chan. Is that right?
Gemma, but yeah.
Is it Gemma or Gemma? Gemma, I would think, right?
Gemma.
It's Gemma.
Gemma's a real name.
A British
Gemma,
name.
okay.
Yeah, British name. Gemma.
Okay. Well, someone said Gemma Aderon and someone said Gemma Chan. I don't know. Is that the same person? I don't know.
Probably. Chan.
Okay.
I don't know, it says she's in the Marvels.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
There you go.
Cool.
Let's get a couple super chats here.
Don Leinert with the $5 super chat. Hello, Bit friends.
Don.
Personally, I'm saving my PS5 games, Spider-Man 2, Assassin's Creed Mirage, for the holidays as I fly to the family and I don't have my PC. Have a great day, y'all. All right.
Nice. Thank you, Don. Good to hear from you. Glad you're doing well. And of course, Debbie W.
Debbie W with $10 super chat. Nope. I totally didn't spend 30-something hours playing Bang on Balls this week and didn't 100% 3 of the maps and 90% of the 4th. Nope, totally did. Unironically. Thank you, Rick and Ains.
Time to get back to talking about balls, boys.
Listen, I'm never going to forgive you for spending $24 on that game. No offense.
I never told you to do that. You did that on your own.
You recommended it.
Not to you.
How great it was. And I was like, okay, you did not recommend it to me. So you kind of.
No, I was talking about how good the game is.
You did recommend it.
No. I recommended it to people, not Dan.
I mean, that doesn't.
All right. Well, I also bought it.
Say, hey, don't.
I don't think I disliked it as much as Dan, but I definitely was like, I don't know if I get this. And
it's okay. They're uncultured Bitcast again. I'm telling you. So
I'm just
no
Swedish balls. I don't understand what's happening. Like, there's no like Tell me something.
I just sleeping on Bang on Balls. I would love to. That would be such a fun review.
Explaining. It really is just exploring areas. I mean,
I said this. It's a collectathon 3D platformer. That's it. And you go through each level that is based on loosely, comically based on some event in history. And it's a blast. I love it.
Why do I have a sword and then not use it? Why can't I use my sword?
Decoration.
It looks cool, Dan.
But if I get a tomato, I can throw the tomato.
You use a sword, but I use one of those multicolored pens.
Right. There's no Puerto Rican flag. I've looked several times.
There was a Puerto Rican flag.
No, there is not. Go back and
look.
If it's Ohio or if it's Texas, they're not the same.
There's a sub menu.
There's no English flag either. That doesn't make it a bad game.
Makes it a better game. Honestly, it just went up a point in my book.
All right, look. Bang on Balls. Check it out. It's awesome. Don't listen to it.
Don't waste your money.
It's amazing. It's like 98% review on Steam. Steam reviewers, and they know what they're talking about.
People have no
taste anymore. I think they also gave a 90% to Postal 4. So let's not get crazy on the Steam reviewer. I think it actually is. I think it has really positive reviews. It's like a bunch of incels being like, "Yeah, the game's awesome."
Yeah, but yeah, it's it really is fun. Like I said, it's a very specific type of game, but it doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's just a goofy ass game.
It's definitely goofy.
I'll give you that. It definitely is goofy.
Yeah, I finished the Viking level. You get I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a big boss at the end of the Viking level, which is amazing. And then you actually start to get abilities as well. So I'm in the second level now, which
is one of those swinging your sword that you pick up.
Well, kind of, yeah. But I went to the space race now, so now it's the USSR versus America, and you're building rockets, and the one side of the world is America, the other side of the world is the Soviet Union, and they speak in accents, and it's just comical, man. It makes me laugh every time I play. Fun game. Glad you enjoyed it, Debbie.
But good on you,
Papa.
Debbie. Papa with a $10 super chat. All these amazing new game experiences in my ass is playing Halo Infinite. It's Cyberpunk 2077. Phantom Liberty is excellent, boys.
It really is.
It is. Yes, it is.
I need to get back to that.
Yep. Pomp, he messaged me last night. He finished it. I won't spoil anything, obviously, but there's multiple endings. And he just loved it. And I said, yeah, man, it's incredible. Love it.
Idris Elba's having a day in Phantom Liberty, man.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that surprised me the most is usually when they get these big name actors in a lot of games, they're almost like cameos, right? They're very minorly involved. But no, he is a full-fledged, full story character that continues all the way through. It's pretty cool.
I really do like his performance better than Keanu's. I know you guys like Keanu in the game, but
I
think Idris's performance is really strong. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You really
don't put me in that camp.
Dead, right? Like he's just very monotone.
I love that you could say Phantom Liberty's performances are bad while complimenting Spider-Man's performances. What are we doing here?
I'm not complimenting Spider-Man's performances. You've never played that game, so you have nothing.
I played Spider-Man 1.
What for like an hour? You played it for like an hour. Let's go check the numbers.
Dude, I need a versus between Ains and Dan. We're tearing the old Bitcast family apart. This is great, Hope. Look at the chaos we've wrought.
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying it was very here. This is Idris the whole time. Just like
I mean, he's a covert operative. I thought he did well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess if you're going for mediocre, then he did great.
Dan only likes over actors. They need to be like,
I didn't like Keanu either, though, but that's just me.
It only takes so much emo Keanu.
Oh, wow. Three that are kind of lukewarm on Keanu.
I think there were better characters in Cyberpunk than Keanu and Idris. I think
for sure there were. For sure.
So, I mean, Cyberpunk's got great characters.
I mean, I think even in Phantom Liberty, you could argue Songbird is better than
Songbird great, too.
She's good.
Great.
Yep.
I need to get more time. I just got to the DLC and then I had to go do other things. So
I mean, you got to play it, man. You got to play it.
My dance cards.
I love Phantom Liberty. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And Debbie's back.
Debbie, it reminds me a lot of Anthem.
I should have done those super chats in a different order. So sorry about that. But
Yes.
Certainly not.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's right.
Hey.
What?
I don't even know
what you liked Bang on Balls, so you should accept that comparison.
I'm so confused.
Anthem's awesome. Right, we know this. So is Bang on Balls. 2 great games.
Is it awesome or was it awesome?
Hey, it's still awesome. You can still play it.
When are they turning those servers off?
I don't know, but there's people like I played it a couple months ago, and there's people running around the world doing stuff. Yeah, it's fun.
What happens?
What a glowing recommendation. People around the world doing stuff. Though, honestly, if
you're still doing the same mission over and over again.
If you are playing Anthem in 2023, you are in the crevice. Like you are right in the middle of it. Like you just like that is the definition of living in the crevice.
It's like I mentioned a couple weeks ago I was playing Redfall again, and I really think that the new patch improvements are good. But every time I try to play Redfall, I think I should definitely be playing something better.
Redfall is not good.
It is not. It's not terrible. That's what I'm going to say.
But the opportunity cost in 2023 is ridiculous.
Yeah, to me, the thing that they will never be able to fix is the game. The combat just feels terrible. It's like floaty and
it does feel better now, but it's not top of class at anything. And so you say, why would I play this right now when I could,
especially in this year?
That's the problem, right? Yeah, maybe if release next year, it'd be good.
Who is Google man? Travis does not rhyme with crevice. That's not.
If you really try,
you really. I mean, I guess you can make it rhyme. I don't want to.
Yeah, I think it rhymes. I think it rhymes. Oh my god. So Pompa mentioned I want to talk about, of course, Halo Season 5 being kind of rocking this week too. So Diablo Season 2 and Halo Season 5 launch on the same day on the 17th.
With very
earlier this week
of success.
Are you going to talk unintelligently about Halo again, or?
I didn't say anything.
Talk intelligently about Diablo. And,
Diablo did have
Diablo had a delay in its season because they had issues.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just giving you shit.
Actually, I do have a comment about that, which is like I was like, you know what? I'm going to show Ains. I'm going to play Halo Infinite this week. I'm going to play it when the Season 5 comes out. And I had like it all marked off on my calendar, and I was like proud of myself. I was like, yeah, feeling good about it. And it totally didn't happen. But I feel really good about myself that I cleared time to make it happen.
For like an hour, like what's that gonna do?
It didn't happen. I didn't get along.
And obviously, I talk about Halo a lot, so I won't stay on it too long. But great new release. Lot of cool quality of life features, new content, obviously, and some of the really neat things. For instance, like refreshing the ranked meta. So if you're a competitive Halo player, they switched the main starting weapon, which in Halo is a big deal. So it's now a 5-shot single shot weapon called the Bandit Evo, which is it makes an even larger skill gap to an already big skill gap game, because you have to be very precise and very accurate and thoughtful with your kind of engagements and shots. So the ranks kind of
board,
all ranked, yes.
Oh my god!
And it's changed for HCS Season 3. So the pro competitive will be Bandit starts. Yes.
So the BR is out for comp.
The BR is a pickup weapon now. Yeah.
Damn. Honestly, that's a great change, because once you have the BR, you need no reason to pick up any weapon on the map. BR is like already, god tier weapon. So I love that change. That was one of my big problems with comp. Is to me the pistol and AR felt better as starting weapons, just because they give you every incentive to actually control the battlefield and try to find better gear. When you have the BR, you have way less incentive. You can just get mad kills with the BR. So that's one of the things the pros, and a lot of times in the comp world, they're obviously listening to the pro players. And the pros said they wanted a bigger skill gap with the starting weapon. So they created this to kind of almost replicate the Halo 5 pistol. As a starting weapon. So it definitely makes engagements a little different. Power weapon control is more important, things like that. So that's a huge change. They added AI to Forge now, so scripting. So people in the first week have already created ridiculous things. I know.
So you have like firefight being recreated, and like you have these
giant
monster
hunters.
Arenas. Yeah, the monster arenas, and there's nuts. November 14th, they have mid-season. They're bringing a Halo 3 themed playlist with 8 remade maps from Halo 3. They're even doing like a whole Mountain Dew promotion to kind of do a flashback to 2007. But it's just, I could go on.
That's why they're doing it.
Yeah,
not for all the money they're going to get.
Not the money.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of good content there, and they're really kind of firing on all cylinders. Like I said, they're really kind of crushing the updates, and they make all these continual updates weekly and bi-weekly too. So there's rotational playlists and things coming in and out, new maps being added, and it's just they've really done a lot with that game. So it's seen a big increase. I think it was 15th on Xbox Live yesterday when I looked. Steam like more than doubled, even though Steam was pretty low because it's a Windows PC game really in Game Pass. But so a lot of interest in it, and people kind of getting back into Halo, which is cool to see. So it's good. It's been fun. Yeah, and then Battlefield 2042 is experiencing the same thing. I don't know if you guys saw that, and I preached like a few months ago about Battlefield 2042 actually being good now. Like I was playing it quite a bit. It passed its like concurrent player over 100,000 concurrents on Steam. Like it's like, a lot of people playing that game now. So it's just great to see these live service games kind of getting new life, and the developer kind of sticking with them until they're really being enjoyed by a lot of people. So
it's better than abandoning them.
Travis's book of live services games is accurate, where you just take a year off and come back, and the people come back.
Yep.
Got to keep working on it.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, look, I think there's studios that do this intelligently and plan for it, like Diablo, where they're good day one and you can tell that they came to play. And then there's the other where you can almost immediately when the game launches that they don't really have it together and it's going to take some time. And I think 2042, the headline there is, wow, I'm surprised they stuck with it. Halo Infinite, the headline is, I'm glad that they got there eventually, but 100% success that they're doing now is still only 50% success, since what they promised was campaign and multiplayer, and we're very clearly not getting campaign. So I'll always be sad about that, but it is cool to see that they did finally come around, as we predicted on the show that the first year.
We talked about it many times. Yeah,
we talked about it many times about that. This is the model for live service games. So yeah, I hope that there are more Diablo 4s, because if you believe in your game, you should be building that pipeline before the game comes out. But certainly the model before that is the norm, is that there's just a year of rockiness and eventually comes back. So it's cool to see some of the games reach that rather than dying before they got around that very dangerous kind of that cliff that nears some games. So
yeah, and kills some games, right?
They kill some games. Yeah, some games die in that year because it's hard to survive.
The companies that are surviving that period are the ones with huge amounts of excess capital.
I was just gonna say that. Yep. Yeah, you got EA, Blizzard, and Xbox. I mean, yeah, you're
and honestly, in general, even if you have a live service game and you are prepared to support it day one, that requires an enormous team. You need essentially 3 teams at minimum working on the game in tandem on different parts of the pipeline. Which is such an enormous investment, and you have to do it before your game is going to resonate with players. Because if it doesn't resonate with players and people don't play your game, then you've just built 3 teams that are all going to have to get shut down and work on other projects. And so it's a huge gamble that I think part of the problem with live service right now is it seems to be a model that only really works for enormous developers. But the good thing is, one of the main disadvantages of large AAA publishers and developers these days is that they can't really take risks. They're very risk averse because their gambles, or they're playing at the high stakes table, right, with their stuff. And I think live service games do let them take some creative risks to some extent, because you can always fix it in post, right? 2042 doesn't work. You can spend a year fixing it up, and eventually it can be a successful game. So there's advantages and disadvantages. I still think the model's great, but yeah, it's interesting to see how much has changed in a year since the last time we started talking about live service. The landscape.
Yeah, I'll never forget first playing 2042 when I got early access to it. And I mean, and when I say broken, I don't even mean aspects were broken. You literally couldn't play it. It was completely dead. Disaster. So yeah, no, it's great to see. And the problem it creates, which is kind of funny, a funny problem to have as we've talked through this, all these games, is because there's great new game releases like Spider-Man and Wonder and these other games, right? But then you have this great new content being delivered for these games you already love. Trying to find time for them all is impossible. I'm just bouncing around all over the place. And if I spend a night playing Halo, that's 3, 4, 5 hours that I could have spent playing Lords of the Fallen or Wonder or something else that I just not. But those
I haven't even gotten to my currently
experiences.
playing. I got bad news for you guys. There's even more games you're going to have to play in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other games.
Not bad news, Travis.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I know what
for your time, for your wallet. I don't know. You're not going to see your kids, Hogue.
I play most of the games with my kids.
I shun mine.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good. Yeah. Your loved ones can't say no to you because you have authority over them. You're like, you're playing this game with me.
Play this game.
I don't like this game.
That's not how it works. Certainly.
Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
You're playing it.
Yeah. Get me through this Elden Ring fight or no dinner.
Well, we talked about it last week, but I have started an Elden Ring run, and Ains, I am in Stormvale Castle now.
Okay. Nice. Stormvale is huge.
Just remember,
and there are many, many, many hidden things in there.
Remember,
so
a goldfish got through that level. Just remember
that. I'm proud. So you're fully in Stormvale. Okay,
I'm
so
proud
you're
of
like
goldfish too. That's impressive shit.
You're like 5 or 10% through the game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's
super early.
A marathon, not a sprint. But I'm back in Stormvale.
Okay. Yeah, just explore a lot.
Just explore
take your time.
That's your advice.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of hidden things in Stormvale, but there's all kinds of very useful stuff you can find in Stormvale too. So
just explore a lot. If you see some boxes, feel free to walk right past them. Don't investigate. If something pops out and tries to kill you,
run.
The most important thing is if you see a note that says treasure down there, jump. Follow it. They're helping you out.
Follow that advice. Live in the crevice.
And there is without spoiling anything, there's huge implications to the story of Elden Ring with secrets deep in Stormvale too. Like I literally missed the first time I played the game, over 100 hours that I missed. So there's stuff like I'm watching someone do a playthrough now, and they're in Rhea Lucaria, which is the second legacy kind of dungeon, the big place. And I've been through there
as far as I've gotten.
I've been there 5 times, and I've gone through countless different areas, and they found stuff that I never found. It's just that game. I say it all the time. The game's endless, man. It's endless. So I know we're at 2-hour mark. Travis, you said you had some other games you want to talk about. Anything like specific?
Yeah, I got some specific stuff.
Go.
I think I can talk about some stuff I couldn't talk about last show, which is
because you weren't here.
Okay, sir. Even if I was here, I couldn't talk about it. Okay.
Even if you were here, Travis, use the subjunctive.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point.
By the way, while you're talking, Tide has said that I need to prove I like candy corn by eating at least a piece or two here on the stream. So I'm at it. Go ahead and continue.
That is a fair thing to have to prove because I almost don't believe you. I feel like you're trolling me.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm going.
So, I want to talk about VR because I've been playing VR games that aren't out yet, and I'm extremely excited to tell you guys that there's some pretty significant stuff coming that I think it's coming this year as well, that I think everybody should clear some time in their calendar to play because they're not just good VR games. They appear to, at least from what I've played, again, I haven't reviewed any of these games yet, but I'm going to be reviewing at least one of them, possibly 2 or 3 of them. There are some games coming that I think are seriously impressive games. The first one I want to talk about is
PSVR 2, right, Travis?
Not on PSVR 2. In fact, none of these titles are available on that platform, which is part of the fun. If you have a PSVR 2, sorry, your platform is still bad. But the MetaQuest 3 has sort of reignited a lot of interest in developers in making some cool experiences for that platform. Today, I can only really talk about one of them, which is Assassin's Creed Nexus. If you don't know what this game is, it is a full Assassin's Creed game made entirely in VR. And when I say a full Assassin's Creed game, I mean like literally a whole Assassin's Creed game.
Like Valhalla or Mirage?
Valhalla or Mirage? Yeah. I had the same question, Dan.
Well, that's an interesting question. So you play the game as 3 Assassin's Creed characters: Ezio from Assassin's Creed 2, Connor from Assassin's Creed 3, and Cassandra from Odyssey. So in a way, it kind of includes both worlds, like in terms of RPG. But I will say the gameplay is much more reminiscent of Assassin's Creed 2 and 3. Basically, think of the demo I played was like a few hours inside the Ezio storyline, and every part of what you would expect to play in Assassin's Creed 2 as Ezio is represented in VR. There's climbing up walls and parkouring across surfaces and rooftops. There's
like
combat.
Effectively.
Yes, effectively. Because the way it works in the game is if you're running across like different platforms, right? You're not like actually jumping in real life to get from each thing. What you do is you hold down the A button just like you would do in the video game. You press forward, and then your character leaps from thing to thing. And then when you want to change your direction, you just change your head. So if you're like trying to turn a corner or swing on something, you turn your head and your character will start moving in that direction. And so it feels, it's like really like organic in terms of like your pointer is your face and the way you're looking. And then your character's taking care of all the footwork. But when you're climbing, you're actually climbing. So you're having to find like things to grapple onto. And that moment where, you're dangling and there's like an overhang, but it goes past you. And in the games, they do that really scary thing where they push off the wall and they grab onto it before they fall. You have to do that in the game. You have to like actually push off and grab onto it. And if you miss the window, your character will fall back. So they do that cool stuff. The climbing is good in like every VR game. And so they take best practices from like the Climb 2 and some, other games that do it well. And they put it in this one. And then the combat, there's combat in it where you can, you're using sword, you get a crossbow, you can throw daggers if you're in stealth and that sort of thing. And then you also can do assassinations where if you break somebody's guard, you can go in with the wrist blade and do a quick assassination. And then what's that?
You yell thwip.
You hit the button on your wrist and it makes the blade come out, and then you can just jab with it and get a kill. But it only works if their guard's down, because otherwise it's a one-hit kill. It'd be a little cheap.
Hey Travis, X Off Grid asked when this releases.
This comes out in early November, the first or second week of November. So it's like pretty soon. It's on the MetaQuest 3 is what it was developed for, but I think it also works on the Quest 2. It also has stealth. So it has like there was one section where you're tailing a guy, right? And he does that thing where he's really suspicious looking over, and you have to be careful with what you do. And there's like a part where I was sneaking around on the side of the wall, and another part where you can do the social stealth where you like get into a crowd and you blend in, which is super funny because you're like standing in a circle of dudes and they're all like looking at you. And so I would do what anyone would do, and I just start talking to them in real life. I'm like, hey guys, what are you doing?
Converse,
the price of tomatoes is crazy, am I right? You get to kind of like, it's a lot more involved when you're actually standing in a group of random people that are all gesticulating randomly. Which is
I have
cool.
to believe you're using a terrible Italian accent for this.
Of course. Yeah. And I was, by the way, I was surrounded by Ubisoft employees watching me do this, and they were just like, this guy's unhinged. Like he's like talking to our NPCs in the game. I was like, hey guys, how are we doing? They're like, what is he?
Why is he moving his hands so much?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did they have a sign that said hashtag bloat goat?
Hashtag bloat goat. Yeah. The bloat goats at Ubisoft are at it again. It also has a cool storyline where you're somebody at Abstergo. And so when you put on the headset, you're stepping into the Animus. You're like getting your assignment, and then it's like, all right, time to enter the Animus. So you put on the headset, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I think this game is going to be good. I only played a couple hours, so remains to be seen. But just based on what I saw, like it appears to be a full Assassin's Creed game. All the parts, stealth, combat, parkour, and climbing are represented in stealth and seem to be competent. And so I'm very excited to play more of this. I will most likely be reviewing it for IGN. And I'm excited to play more of it. I'm also going to be covering some other games. They're embargoed, but I think I can tell you guys I've played Asgard's Wrath 2. And if you're familiar with Asgard's Wrath from the OG MetaQuest, I guess technically not the Quest. It was just an old VR game. You had to be plugged into a PC to play it. So a lot of people didn't play it for that reason. But Asgard's Wrath 2 appears to be a full open world 60+ hour RPG with companions and mounts and all the things, loot game, and all the things you'd expect it to be in an open world RPG in VR. And that's all I can say about it right now. But I will have a preview of it this week because I've played a lot of it. And I'm hoping that I get a chance to review that one too, because that game is crazy and I have to see how it turns out. But yeah, that is some VR stuff I can talk about. I can't talk about one of the other games I played, but yeah, I've been doing that and I'm super excited about it. And I also want to tell you guys that tomorrow, Tuesday, Lord of the Rings Return to Moria comes out, and I'm allowed to talk about it tomorrow, but I am reviewing that game. They gave us codes super late. I got it on Friday evening, and so I will most likely have a review in progress tomorrow, but I have been playing a lot of that game and I have thoughts that I'm excited to share with you guys. But yeah, I'm sort of living in the future right now. Like I'm trying to keep up on Wonder and some of the other stuff, but I'm playing a lot of stuff that's coming out in November, December. And I'm very excited for it. And this year isn't over, I guess, is what I'm here to announce. Because I kind of thought it was over. Like I got 19 reviews this year, and I kind of thought I was never going to get to my record last year of 25. But now that I've seen the calendar and gotten some of my assignments for the rest of October, November, December, there's still a ton. And some of these games are huge. Like Asgard's Wrath 2 is going to be enormous, and it comes out in December. Assassin's Creed Nexus might end up being like a really good VR game. It's coming out next month. So, like it's crazy how the hits keep on coming this year, but yeah, I've got a lot more stuff to cover, and I want to tell everyone here if you have been sleeping on VR like me, because there really hasn't been a ton of good stuff. There was like a Walking Dead game after
I still love
Half-Life
Synapse.
Synapse is great,
yeah.
But there hasn't been a ton of VR movement after Half-Life Alyx set an enormously amazing bar, and it kind of feels like some of those projects that probably started post Half-Life Alyx are finally coming to fruition, and you can tell that they learned from that game, because some of these VR games are like legit, like very cool. So I'm very excited to play more of it, and I wish I could talk to you guys about Asgard's Wrath, but I will talk to you about it next Sunday, and I have a lot to say. So,
I will see if I get to play those.
Yeah,
someday if they come to one of my VR headsets.
You don't have a MetaQuest?
I do not have a MetaQuest 3.
Yeah,
I had a MetaQuest 2. I basically let it languish when Facebook started asking me for account information. I know they changed some of that stuff up later.
They did. Yeah.
But I haven't turned it on since. And
yeah.
I didn't even know there was a MetaQuest 3 until you mentioned it 2 weeks ago, I think.
I also feel gross about it being a Facebook product, but I will say they did change some of the creepy, like, we want to know your info stuff. And the MetaQuest 3 also comes bundled with Asgard's Wrath 2 if you buy it until January. And so if you're interested at all in playing a massive open world RPG, like the price of entry for MetaQuest 3 is well worth it. And the fact that it comes with their big flagship game that's coming out this year.
What do those run now, crazy. Travis? It's not been a terribly lucrative year for me.
Yeah, I think the lower end ones are like slightly more. So the MetaQuest 2 is $299, so this is probably like $349, like probably $350 at the low end. I bought like the stupid expensive $500 one, but yeah, I think they have a pretty reasonable entry point for that.
Take a look.
Yeah, so some cool stuff still coming this year. Like a surprising amount of like pretty cool games are coming this year.
I mean, Alan Wake 2 is still like within a week.
Yeah, right? That's 1 week
week
away.
We've got Bluey in November. There's a Bluey video game. I mean, it's a party at Hogue House.
What the hell is Bluey? I keep seeing people talking.
Sorry, Dan.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a cartoon healer dog with an Australian accent.
Naturally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh my god. Okay,
yeah.
Dell is saying the MetaQuest 3 is more expensive than I thought it was. Apparently, it is $500. I did not know that.
Okay.
Bluey.
Yeah. $499.
Bluey.
Dang. Bluey.
And that's your next game after Bang on Balls.
Bluey Kabluey.
Bluey.
Alan Wake 2, Bluey, and then Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, I know are on my list. So
yeah,
I bet
December.
When's the cutoff for Game of the Year? Like, is it late October, early November?
I mean, I don't have a cutoff.
November, right?
For Game
I know we
Game
don't.
Awards.
For the Game
It's actually the beginning of the second week in November. Yeah. It's early.
So Assassin's Creed Nexus will make it. No, it won't. I think it's November 17 or something.
I mean, I don't know that that's really a concern for them.
Yeah,
but
is there not a VR category yet? That's crazy. If there
no,
isn't.
I don't think so.
Wow,
I don't know.
Be.
I don't know.
They'll probably do it like VR and mobile. You know how they like group together all the stuff they don't care about. Probably like that.
It'll be VR,
VR or mobile
sports
game.
and racing.
Yes, VR, sports and racing and mobile game. Best game. Best live service VR.
Also, we
3
love
categories
Bluey in our house, Dan.
Yeah.
So
is Bluey like a kid show? I'm just like totally.
Bluey is ostensibly for preschoolers, but it's the best
That's why I never heard of it.
in that genre in a long time. Highly recommended.
My kids are all grown.
Yeah.
Okay, well, don't just sit by yourself and watch Bluey. I'm just saying that it's a good show.
That's not something I should do, is what you're saying. Like this is like your warning. Like it's probably really good, but don't do it.
Yeah,
I'm just don't advertise it. You're on your social media. I'm sitting down to watch a few Blueys in a row. I mean, Bluey cartoons are only like 7 minutes long, so you can watch a number of them.
Like a Bronies thing where a whole bunch of adult men really get the Bluey. They'll call themselves blue.
Kind of taking away that that little mystique that it's got here, Travis. It's getting
Kabluies.
It's getting gross.
Look, dude,
the Kabluies. Yeah, there you go.
I'm making my way through the crevice. That's all.
Bluey's fantastic.
Your name rhymes with it.
All right. Go get him, Bluey.
Go get him, Bluey. I was going to talk a little more about Lords of the Fallen. We can save that for next week.
Yeah.
I need to get further in it anyway. I'm a little further than last week, but only a few hours. So.
So I played it in between reviews. I had some time, so I replayed it on Xbox, and I'm at the final boss, and I got one of the alternate endings almost to end. So
cool.
I made a lot of progress in that. I'm probably going to finish that up between reviews, and then we can talk about it here. I know I missed the big day we were supposed to talk about it as the main topic, but
I know. I really like it. Really, really like it.
It's good.
So
8 out of 10 IGN.
And then of course, it's funny because none of us are really hardcore players of it. I know, but the biggest game of the year, as usual, will be Modern Warfare 3. Which is coming out here in a few weeks. They had the open beta and everything. I just wanted to call out that Phil Spencer was on the Xbox podcast, the official kind of Xbox podcast.
I watched
interview. About Activision-Blizzard, right? And they asked him some of the obvious things that we talked about last week. Travis, you missed it. But we were talking about like what to expect now that the deal is finally closed. And one of the things we said last week,
expecting Game Pass games.
Pretty much. Yeah. And what we said last week is, don't expect a whole lot. Like expect them to talk about some things for several months, but generally speaking, don't expect much here in 2023 or into early 2024. So I was glad to hear, we were pretty on point on that. So he mentioned pretty much that the 3 main bullets that Phil mentioned is that they're going to move away from Call of Duty having any kind of exclusive stuff. It's going to have parity on all platforms. So like, today there's like Call of Duty gets exclusive skins because they pay for the market, or PlayStation gets exclusive skins because they pay for the marketing deal and they get like a early beta and stuff like that. He said all that's going to go away. Every platform will have parity, get same stuff, same time. He said, don't expect Activision-Blizzard games and Game Pass right away, like some other places were reporting. So he said it's going to take a little time. But obviously that's on deck, right? One thing I did say they did, if you missed it, by the way, we forgot to mention this, is that Diablo 4 has 10 hours of free play on Xbox this weekend. So if you're like haven't played Diablo 4 and you want to try it, you can try it for free for 10 hours. And then he also commented and said, obviously the team knows that Activision Blizzard has a ton of IP, right, that they now own under their umbrella. And there's a lot of requests for certain games to come back. He said his goal is to speak to all the teams. He was at King this week, I believe, and a few of the other studios, but he wants to see what like those studios have a passion for, basically. So he said, he would much rather take the approach of seeing what the teams want to work on, and take it from there. So as we kind of said last week, it's going to be some time. People who are thinking they're going to get announcements for new games and everything in Game Pass next week, you're way ahead of yourself. It's going to be a while. So, but it's a good interview. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. It's always good to hear pretty candidly from him. And it was a good length. I want to say 25 minutes, something like that. So, it was good.
Was good.
let's get this last super chat. We missed this one actually. From
Lao
Halo.
Shimazaki, is that how you say it?
Yep. 500 yen. Awesome seeing yen, dude. I don't know the last time we saw yen on a super chat. That's cool.
It's been a while. I've been having lots of fun with Halo. I just wish Xbox had more presence here in Japan.
You and Phil Spencer.
Yeah. That's awesome, Lau. I'm glad you're hanging out with us, man, from Japan. That's fantastic. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, that's obviously been an Xbox thing for a very long time, right? Like I know there's a dedicated Xbox community in Japan that's just very small. You know what I mean? And I always kind of wish there was a bigger presence there, but we'll see. I mean, we always hope that expands, but
they did get their first Japanese studio.
Yeah, they have Tango now. Yeah, so
kind of a big deal. Actually, I think Activision also has one, so they might actually have two now. I need to check.
I don't know the full list of Activision studios off the top of my head.
I think Activision does have a Japanese studio. Yeah.
Shame that Shinji left though, Mikami from Tango, but regardless,
they're in good hands. Coming off
for sure.
Coming off of Hi-Fi Rush, I think they're in good hands.
Yeah. Also, I love to see you playing Halo, representing for us over in Japan there. Let's get that Halo presence out there. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lau. Good to hear from you. Appreciate the super chat.
He's the best Halo player in Japan.
Hey, he might well be. We don't know. And then Shush, member comment.
Space Marine 2 is 2023, but no actual date.
That game looks awesome, by the way.
That means it's 2024.
Yeah.
I do agree.
It's probably true. Yeah, but it looks great. I'm super excited about that game. It looks like a big Gears of War Warhammer game, which looks cool.
Yakuza's coming out here in a couple of weeks, I think.
What is? I'm sorry?
Yakuza.
Yakuza.
Like a dragon.
The Gaiden. Okay. I always, because there's so many different variations.
The man who has no name or some whatever the hell they call it.
This
is the second Yakuza game this year.
This is between because Ishin came out, I guess.
Ishin came out this year.
Yeah.
It's they pump them out, dude.
Yeah.
And Ishin's on Game Pass now, by the way, too.
We'll play Ishin. It's good.
Yakuza Mirage.
Oh my god.
Wow.
But most importantly, right, that comes with the Infinite Wealth demo. So
yes, it does.
That's why I'll be picking that one up.
I'll be picking it up because Kiryu is awesome, and Yakuza is awesome.
But he's not as awesome as Ichiban.
Wait, is the man who erased his name Kiryu? I mean, is that a reference to Kiryu?
That's him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Keep up with the complex story.
This is what happens between.
Come on, Ho.
Between
I know he faked his death. Sorry, but I mean, I don't.
I mean, that was like 10 years ago, man.
I know.
Yeah, so that's not a spoiler.
I know.
Yeah.
He's still catching up, Dan.
You know it better than me, Hogue, so don't feel bad.
This is between 6 and Like a Dragon. So this is what happened between this and the other game.
It is an important connective tissue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Between 6 and Like a Dragon. Okay. I'm just looking forward to Like a Dragon.
It does give you a little bit of a spoiler about what happens in Like a Dragon, though. So if you haven't finished Like a Dragon, maybe don't play
tough shit. I mean, after a year, I think spoilers are off the table, so I don't really care. So just so you know, if you ever tune into this show, I might say something. I'm going to be like, hey, and then you're like, why are you spoiling it? I'm like, listen, you had a year to play it. Right?
Kiryu Kuzawa is not dead. There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
That's right. Exactly.
All right.
Yep.
So next week, boys, we get Alan Wake 2. The hype about it is very high. I know Hogue's pumped. We're all pumped, but supposed to be incredible. So I'm very excited to see. Someone earlier, by the way, as we were talking about storytelling in Spider-Man, someone mentioned Alan Wake 2 and said, we'll see in terms of storytelling if Remedy has their chops up on that one.
I think
Remedy's one of my favorites. I mean, assuming that they're on pace with what they did with Max Payne and Alan Wake, it should be fantastic. I would prefer it to not be the storytelling of Control, but a lot of people like that.
I knew that was coming. By the way, let's do our quick check-in before Alan Wake 2 gets here on our Game of the Year awards bet. So,
yes, yours as of right this second, Ains.
With Spider-Man 2 behind us.
This list feels so outdated now.
It sure does. That's why we did it early, though. We knew it would be. So we all, just a reminder, all 4 of us have Tears of the Kingdom. All 4 of us have Starfield.
Yeah, that was a mistake on our part.
Huge mistake. Yeah.
Yep. those are the
Tears of
only
Kingdom
two.
was a good idea, but Starfield, I don't think so. And Baldur's Gate, I think I put on mine, so I'm feeling pretty good.
You know what we should do? Take
hold
Starfield and just throw it out, and then everybody pick a new one. And then
Starfield's going to be nominated for Game of the Year, so I'm not taking it out.
I think it might be. Yeah, I think it might be.
Really think it will be?
It really depends. Are they going to stick with 6? If they stick with 6, I don't think Starfield deserves a spot. But if they nominate 12, I could see that this year. I could see them. Yeah,
it's crazy.
So Spider-Man 2, and obviously you guys are still playing through it, but it's a 91?
91.
Is that right? On like Meta, Open Critic, whatever.
Yeah.
So Travis, you're the only one who does not have Spider-Man 2.
I stand by that.
Okay. All right. So now I got to hope that Spider-Man 2 is on there because I'm the only one that doesn't have Baldur's Gate 3, which is a huge mistake.
Yeah, huge miss. You're getting that one wrong.
I mean, I don't think you remember Jeff Keighley is his show, right? I mean,
I know, but I just can't. I think. But here's the thing: Jeff Keighley isn't the one choosing; it's a panel, and I don't know if that panel. I mean, they're positive on it. There's too many other games. I don't know if it's gonna.
I just keep looking at it. I think that I've said this before. I think Dan's safe, although Dan and I'm sorry, it's hard. The way I wrote this is weird. Dan and I both have Final Fantasy 16.
I don't think that's going to make it.
Hogue and Travis do not, but Hogue and Travis both have a random indie game, which I don't know if we'll make it, which is Dave the Diver and Sea of Stars.
Yep. But honestly, the fact that I have 2 games I know are going to be on that list and you only have 1, that's why I think you're screwed, because I have 2 games I know are going to be on the list.
The only thing though is I have Diablo 4, which I still think is going to be on the list.
I think there's a better chance now than there was, but honestly, the panel that's voting, if it's on the list, you can thank Ryan McCaffrey, because I know he nominates and that's his game of the year right now. So yeah.
All right, go McCaffrey. Do I have that one too?
Are you the only one with Wonder?
None of us have Wonder.
Have that.
Yeah, screwed that one. I got Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate, so I'm feeling all of our lists are going to be so bad. The winner's going to have like 3 right. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, none of us have Wonder. Diablo 4.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tears got swapped out for Wonder at the end of the day in terms of voting blocks.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. And Travis is the only one without Diablo 4 because you went with Star Wars.
Yeah, and I actually stand by that. I think Star Wars has a better chance of getting nominated.
Doesn't Travis have Street Fighter on his?
I do. Yeah,
I honestly, I told you this before, Travis. The more the year goes on, the more I'm feeling more comfortable. Even though I don't have Baldur's Gate 3, which is a lock.
Read your
Baldur's
list.
Gate 3 is a lock.
Read your list. Your list is rough, dude.
It is. But you have Star Wars, Street Fighter 6, and Dave the Diver, all of which I don't think are going to be on there.
I think Star Wars will get on there.
No,
there's no way.
Not even a chance.
I think it has a better chance than Diablo 4, and you only have one game you know is going to be on the list. One game.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is an absolute lock. We know.
Yeah, dude. I'm just saying, I'm not going to get I'm not going to get last place. Like, I'm very confident of that.
I think Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3 are locks. Like, if I had to put money on anything, I think those 2 games.
So I've got 2 locks. And you have 1, so I'm still feeling pretty good.
You know what's hilarious about this?
It's going to be like all of us get like 1 or 2 right, and then the loser's going to be the one guy who just didn't,
Well, oh shit, we said what our tiebreaker was, and I forget what it was now. What was it? We had a tiebreaker.
It was a Hollow Knight. You could, if it gets announced, we could swap it out. That was it. Oh no, who had rolled credits on the most games that got nominated. That was
that's not what it was.
Yeah, that's what
I think it might have been.
Yeah, that's what we
mine was actually that the tiebreaker should be that you had the Game of the Year winner on your list. But
I think that's what it was. Yeah, but that means I'm going to lose too.
Better. Yeah, dude, I'm feeling even better. It's going to be Baldur's Gate 3. No chance.
This whole thing actually started as a way to get me to play Oxenfree 2, and now I'm like the one that's probably least worried about it because
I think honestly, if I look at this list, I think Dan's in the best shape.
Dan's in best shape. I didn't pick. And here's the thing: this is when I first joined the show. I was like, "Why is Dan on the show? Like, he's just like this, like random ass dude." But the longer I've known Dan, look, I'm being honest.
He's this random ass.
I'm being honest. 100%. I see some people in the comments have that reaction to Dan too. They're like, "Dude, he doesn't like talk that much. He only plays like 2 games. Why is Dan on the show?" The longer I've gotten to know Dan, the more I've seen his value because He is the every gamer. He's like, talking to him is like a window into like 90% of the people who play games. And that is so valuable to have that. So like the reason Dan's list is higher seems better is because the dude has an affinity for the average player. That's my Dan compliment of the day. It was a backhanded compliment at the beginning there. I'm sorry.
You can't think with your
heart.
heart.
Dan is fantastic.
Terrible idea.
Companies would pay a fortune to have Dan.
Yeah, he's a focus group. He himself, he could do the focus group.
Absolutely fair. I really need to get into that.
Yeah, hashtag Dan Stan.
Dan Stan.
You got two hashtags off today.
Dan Stan and Bloat Goat.
Bloat Goat.
Don't confuse Dan Stan with Bloat Goat.
Yeah. Let's not get those confused.
All right. The more the year goes on, the more I look at Resident Evil 4 on my list, and the more I want to cry.
Oh, dude, you're so screwed on that one. No way, dude.
Why did I chase that over Baldur's Gate 3?
I put Street Fighter 5. I was living in the moment. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, well, I let the Resident Evil 2 nomination kind of blind me.
None of us put Hogwarts Legacy, which.
There's not a chance in the world.
I don't think it gets nominated only because of the
year awards.
Yeah, because of the politics. No. I get it.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be on my list as my favorite games of the year, though, for sure. Like top 10.
Like Remnant 2 was one that I wouldn't put on anybody. I wouldn't put on a list if I were a betting man, but it'll be on mine.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well, that's it'll be fun. We're not that far away. We've been talking about it for months now, but we're only 5 weeks away from the show.
Yeah, you just had some kind of announcement on.
Well, I think the nominees are going to come out real soon, right?
Yeah, the nominees I think are up in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, so and none of us have Alan Wake 2. So Alan Wake 2 could come in right at the right time. And let's remember, Keeley is a huge fan of Remedy. There may be, and people have been waiting for this game for 10, however many years it's been. Hope you may know better than me. 13. If this game comes out and hits it on all fronts, it's almost a lock to be on the game of the year list.
If I had my druthers, I'd swap Alan Wake 2 in for Spider-Man right now.
I would swap out most of the games. I would just keep Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3 and completely reorganize the picks.
I don't know how Spider-Man 2 doesn't get nominated, just given the environment of what we're talking about here. Like it wouldn't be on my list, but
I get it, Ames, but I don't know. The people who nominate.
Yeah.
That's why Starfield and Spider-Man are on my list, is I think that they're the representatives of those console blocks.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But those aren't the people that nominate.
Sure.
What? They aren't.
Look, I'm not going to get into the politics of journalistic credence on console stuff, but I think the console blocks exist in less vitriolic form at most of the outlets.
I don't know what that word
meaning. I know what he's saying. Because Travis, you're right. Like those aren't the people nominating. But if you look at the Game Awards nominees in the past since the show began, it's representative of those console blocks.
I think it's just representative of the games people liked. But I mean, you could claim to know the reason, but I don't think that the people nominating it they might have different My biggest problem with the way nominations work is the games only get nominated if the people on the panel happen to have played that game. It's not comprehensive. It's not like all inclusive of like every game. That's like the big problem with it. But I don't think there's a problem with like, the person on the PlayStation outlet or who happens to only play PlayStation games nominated a bunch of PlayStation games. I don't think that's happening.
No, I don't. I'm not saying it's like, console warrior aligned. I'm just saying that those games have weight to them. That's all.
Yeah, I will give you that. The games that had more people play them get nominated at a higher volume because that's how it works. And yeah, so it does have like a lowest common denominator how many people played this game, and it's probably going to win if it were more popular. That is certainly true, but I don't think it has anything to do with console preference. It's just accessibility, and like that's why Half-Life Alyx got nominated for like 0 awards because nobody played it, and that's not because they hate Valve or Steam. It's because it wasn't a very accessible game. And if a game is only available on Steam or whatever, it's going to have a smaller audience base and probably not win any awards.
Fair enough. All right, that'll go ahead and wrap us up for this week. As we said, we got Alan Wake 2, excuse me. I know we're all super excited for that, so we'll talk a lot about that next week. Check out our Super Mario Wonder review from Elu. It's up on the site right now. Definitely check that out. Also, if you're interested in Forza and interested in online racing with us, we're doing Rivals events. So we have a Season Gaming Club, and we're putting up like Rivals challenges that you can just race at when you want to. The great things about Rivals, right? It's not full on multiplayer. You don't have to join with a bunch of people. You can just set track times whenever you're convenient and compete with one another just for fun. So those are out there as well. Hogue, what you got happening, man?
So I did a couple of interviews this last week. We talked about my interview with Alex, which is on his channel. I also did a long form interview with Moore's Law is Dead, which is a tech specialist YouTube channel, and they have a podcast called Broken Silicon, so you can check those out. They're also on the playlist that I keep on my channel called essentially Hogue Law Crossovers. You can check those out there or elsewhere. They'll all lead to the channel of the people that made the videos, but I'm on for like 5 hours on those. So if you're interested in hearing from me, God help you, but I'm there. You can check those out. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing more virtual legalities and hangouts and headlines on my channel this coming week. So you can check us out at Hogue Law YouTube, or you can follow me in my Michigan Wolverine tweets on X or Twitter at Hogue Law. Wolverine.
Is that where we can also find your hatred of PlayStation, or is that somewhere else?
I don't have any ill will towards PlayStation. I just wanted to have a more resonant experience with Spider-Man 2.
It's really his hate of triangles. He doesn't like shapes. This is problem.
True.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be Bungie's problem, right? They have all sorts of issues with shapes.
Well, they're just trying to find the final one.
Well played, sir. I don't even want to give you that one, but I will.
Yeah, don't even let him, outro himself. That was the
and we're done. While we hand this over to Travis, I'm going to go ahead and have another delicious pumpkin mallow cream here. So
when you say delicious, do you mean
it's not even candy corn? That's a pumpkin.
This is where candy corn ascends towards.
Okay, so you don't even you won't even eat real candy corn. You have to get a variation of it.
Candy corn. It's just these are the pinnacle.
Wow.
Yeah.
This guy's a flip flopper. So you can my last review is Lords of the Fallen, so if you haven't read that, check it out. But this week I've been working on stuff that isn't released yet, so the only thing new that you can watch is or read is Assassin's Creed Nexus preview, and then I've got a whole bunch of stuff coming out next week, and I'm working on the Return to Moria review, which I'll have a review in progress tomorrow, I hope, live at some point. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have a full review before the game comes out because they didn't give us codes in a super timely manner. Nice. And then I've got a whole bunch of other reviews coming up this year. I'm probably going to review the Dead Island 2 DLC. Going to review Assassin's Creed Nexus. Yeah, November. Maybe the Asgard's Wrath 2, and I got a bunch of cool projects I'm working on.
Have a sleeper favorite game experiences of the year list. Dead Island 2, I love.
You know what?
Definitely not GOTY material, but I love that game and I've come back to it a number of times.
It's a good game. I'm excited to see what the expansion is.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I was just going to say, going back to the question we started the show with around one change to a game that would have, elevated a game for you. For me, Dead Island 2 would have been if it was open world. I don't like the segmented small levels.
Yeah, interesting.
But anyway.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to go back and go over all the games that would have had a shot at Game of the Year any other year. 2019.
The one change is move your release date, right?
Yeah, move your release date to a different year. That's me. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for joining us this week.
Yeah. Appreciate the effort.
It is hard to get out of bed at 7:00. Trust me, it's not easy.
Chat. You've been awesome as always. Thank you as always. Cheers to all of you who hang out with us and contribute to the show and check in with us every week, leaving us comments. Lots of people who, watch and leave a comment on both channels as well, for engagement and help with that. So thank you as always. Just want to continue to shout that out. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your games this week. There are plenty of things to enjoy no matter what you like. Go enjoy them. Have fun. We'll talk Alan Wake 2 next week and among other things. Until then.